You're saying like before you do a talk, you should
Oh, me?
It's a bit of a weird spot to do that, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll remember that for next time.
Oh.
No matter how hard I prayed, I'm going to guess that no matter how hard I prayed, it would not have worked with this act.
Alright, poker players, we do have an all-in call in our TLPT 25.
Here in the TLPT 25k International, and it looks like Lynskey has decided to jam the 10-2 of diamonds into Yuan Zhao, who's woken up. One of the best hands he's going to find in this situation, and that's looking pretty good for Zhao. And it's going to leave Alex Lynskey drawing dead.
With his ace, we do lose Alex Lynskey in 9th place.
We do lose Alex there in 9th. GG's. Alex, of course, victim of that pretty incredible bluff by Yun Kang. That's where most of those chips went. Never really got anything going after that. 10-2 a time. It's good enough there for Alex to send her in, and we lose him in 9th place.
So, if I pray before I do something versus you, does that give added fold equity? Okay.
8 remaining here in our 25k.
On the barrel to Braden barrel to
International, and Braden Jinx here going to be bringing you this one from now until the end of the tournament. Now, we thought maybe this had finished tonight. Ian Harvey might have been way off in our prediction there. And we'll get some confirmation in how we're going to attack the rest of the night. We could get to the money and bag up, or play another 2 levels from here. We will see, but I did put the call out for commentators in the room prior to the break, and yeah, so you're off. And I did put the call out to anyone that was in the room. We had a few hands go up, but once Didier put his hand up, it's going to be hard to not get him into the booth.
One raise higher than the most, you might say, Braden. Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Welcome.
Pleasure to be here. My first time this series. Usually I'm in a little bit earlier, but I've just been on the floor so much myself playing this week that I haven't had time. How's it been going, Braden?
I think this is some of the best Australian live streaming we've basically ever had.
Wow. Like, just for the 25 or in total?
No,
like the series?
Because we've streamed the 7.5k from 30 left down to a winner. The 15k obviously was incredible and featured you at length.
Sorry, I couldn't be part of that FT. Jungle and I were just missing in action for one reason or another.
Yes, and I mean, imagine if we had yourself and Jungle and the rest of those on the final table of the 15k. It would have been something else.
I'm not going to lie, it did feel like he and I were going to be the 2 chip
chairs?
leaders going
I was
into
like,
that
are you just
FT,
like 6'5" or something?
it all just exploded, if I'm honest. I mean, fair play to Yesha. She went for it.
He wants to just staunch
She was
people.
rewarded for it. So I think it's always amazing to see a female going deep in these tournaments. We don't have it enough in this country, and to see someone who plays the biggest stakes Triton cash games, I believe, word on the street is it's 1k, 2k, 4k USD is her regular.
1k, 2k, 5k USD.
Oh wow, yeah. So we're talking someone buying in for like 200k or at least 100 each session.
We did joke if she won, that was just a buy-in for the next.
I'll give her credit. She did not want Jungle or I to run her over. Unfortunately, I mean, fortunately maybe, she ran into us when we had it, but she really wanted to make a stand, and I can only respect that because she wanted to go for the win. So full credit to her, honestly. And we've got Sosia here now. I'm only just tuning in. I don't even know what the stacks are like, but I am such a big SJ fan. We've played some high stakes cash together, and like she's friends with all the New Zealanders and the Kiwis, obviously like Vincent here, and Hamish speaks about her so affectionately. The captain of the New Zealand team in State of Origin, he speaks about the work that she puts into her game and the amount of study that she does. He loves telling me situations where she just finds the absolute correct sort of output if you were to go look it up. And I love hearing about the way that her fellow compatriots from New Zealand talk about her, and I really love that she just was such a force in the State of Origin this year as well. So 2 thumbs up. And I mean, tell me, what's been going on the FT here? We've got a bit of a spicy hand cooking here. Vincent 3-betting from the big blind against Quan Zhou.
We just lost Alex as soon as she sat down.
That's not good for me.
No. We just lost Alex, who I don't want to harp on it again, but now you're here, we're going to have to, was victim to probably one of the sickest bluffs I've ever seen on stream, and maybe even seen.
Is this the Yun hand?
Yes, it is.
Oh
the
my
Yun
gosh.
Hand. It is the Yun hand.
You might have seen me earlier. I went up to Alex. He was still in the FT and he was talking to me about it. And we were both like, oh, easy fold on the river. When he told me the hand, what on earth did you turn into a bluff?
He snapped.
Are your feet touching the ground?
What did snap folded?
What did you have?
Ace-8 suited. So the flop is
touch the ground.
flop is Jack-8-4 club, 8-4 of clubs.
And Alex had Queen
I
Jack
didn't
of
think
clubs.
And it's 5 ways. And I remember I actually commented live during the hand once Kahle called the big blind. I said, this may be the only 5-way hand we're ever going to see on stream.
I mean, maybe internationally in a 25K, that might be a record. 5-way on an FT. Yeah,
it has to be.
We're bringing it all from the APT.
Literally 5 ways, and I thought that it obviously checks through. Alex still uncapped in that hand. Yun decides to lead Jack turn. Kahle has King-8 suited
you got
in
big
the
chips
big
somewhere?
blind, and
Yeah, big chip somewhere.
King out of clubs.
Oh, yeah, okay.
hearts.
Oh, okay.
Just the 8.
Just the 8, yeah.
Multi-way.
Did Yun have clubs?
Yun has no clubs. 8 out of diamonds.
That's spicy.
Spicy is one way to put it. So Alex calls. I'm trying to remember correctly. SPR might be about 1.5. I think there's around 500k in the pot on the river. Alex has about 880. I could be wrong for sure, but it's around there. River is. It actually could have been a deuce of spades, but River's just a blank. Yun finds the check. Kahle checks. Alex about 250 or 275 into 500. Maybe could have been 220, but are in that ballpark. And when I say Yun snap rejammed all in, he didn't even get halfway through the 30-second time bank. All in. Kahle having both players covered. Yun snap jams, Kahle folds, and Lynskey just snap folded. It was one of those crazy bluffs.
That's actually incredible.
I actually ran into Alex in the break just shortly after he busted, and he was still in. I mean, the words being used were like gangster and sick bluff, but Lynskey was in a bit of disbelief.
Yeah, I would be in disbelief.
And I did ask Alex if he...
Has Yun just check raised here?
Yeah, he's check raised big, I
Oh
think.
my god, he is going for it today. This is such an interesting spot for Kahle with 9s.
Now he's going to know about that 8-8 suited bluff. I have a feeling
he might be calling more liberally, Braden, if he's got that info on the floor. That's the incredible dynamic of playing on stream, isn't it? A world-class player like Kahle is going to take that information into account because you know that he's getting that info. I think he's going to call this every time with that info. I mean, he would probably call it anyway, but now we're going to be more liberally calling down turns as well. So
this is a card that Yun's going to continue on surely.
Yeah, absolutely. When we're trying to find our bluffs in this spot, you might be using something with like a backdoor flush draw and 2 overs, say King 10 of clubs or King Queen of clubs, something like that. Or even Ace Queen of clubs. You know, you can draw from these bigger broadways that have barrel ability.
Here it comes.
Here we go. But Yun not necessarily using one of those hands, but he has found a gutter on the turn, so it kind of fits in now. I would have been interested to see what happens if it was, say, a 6, 7, 8, or 9. But now he's got a bit more equity to continue his barrel with, so we're always going to see the turn barrel from Yun here. Still don't expect Kahle to fold, although I would love to see the stacks, because this could be significant ICM pressure, can't it?
Yeah, I think...
I don't know what the average is, because I've just sat down. But
they're quite healthy. Now, Alex was the shortest.
Might be 1.4. I'm going to guess it's about 1.4, 1.5. So we're quickly going to be playing for stacks on the river here fairly often once Kahle calls. What Yun does is just going to be tremendous right now for the scope of this FT.
SBR is just over 1.
Yeah, he has a natural jam size if he does jam, but I would expect Yun to give up quite a lot. He does actually connect quite a bit with this queen if you listen to the hands that I was just mentioning. So
Queen 9 club.
It's always a question of whether the player, in Kahle's mind, is going to go for value with a bare queen, because Yun has obviously repped more than a queen up to this point. So we kind of want to ask ourselves the question of, you know, what's Kahle's calling range looking like now? He's going to have hands exactly what he has, but he can also just have the pure Jack X as well. So when you're going for this on an FT, this is the true Tony G kind of like, do you have heart? Yun's going to use a time bank to find out.
We know the answer to that question. Do you have heart?
Do you have heart, Yun? Can you do it again? It's not super common to get to the river with his exact holding. I would love... He's going for it, isn't he?
That wasn't all in.
Oh my god.
Did he say all in? 500.
900. Which I guess is actually the kind of size you'd want to use with Queen X, because we're now in a spot where we can rep top pair, as disguised and as devious as it might be. You might not want to go for the full pot.
Would we go smaller with our Queen X, maybe? Or is this the size you'd be looking at? Say if we get here with Queen 9 of clubs.
Kahle's not going to be flatting kings and aces pre, so not really.
How's this club working too?
Yes, that's true. It's probably not great for Kahle to be holding the 9 of clubs if he ever tries to range Yun's bluffs on the flop for, say, king 9 of clubs, but there's not too many 9, 10 of clubs, king 9 of clubs. I don't know if we're really turning like ace 9 of clubs into a bluff there.
It's like, good, right?
That said, he's used ace 4 off.
I'm sorry.
In terms of like what we should be doing, it might not be one of those things to talk about too theoretically. Yeah. We're more in the live realm now. We're like, what's the man doing? You know, a lot of this is really going to be Kahle's interpretation of how often Jack X even gets raised on this flop. Like, let me ask you the question, Braden. Like, how often do you actually really raise Ace Jack on this flop? Check raise Ace Jack on this flop. I think more
really, right?
It is more intuitive to just c-bet your trips. So, Kahle, man, I don't want to pretend like I'm any kind of poker player on the spectrum even close to Kahle. I think he's one of our very best. Several multiples the player that I am. So I almost just want to sit back and just watch. What's the master going to do?
The words out of my mouth. I've said that exact sentence so many times this week.
It is an honor to have him here. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Yun Kang. Is he going to show us?
It looks like he might be able to show this one.
Show the 4. Oh. Man.
What a sicko.
He's getting the Tony G badge for brutal from me.
Okay,
wow, look at the shift on those stacks. He's actually just become the chip leader. And he knows the pressure that you can put on Kahle on the river there when there's such significant pressure on not just caching, but just the actual orientation of the chip leader. Kahle is sort of now basically what Yun was. Yun has fought to become the guy that can put pressure on right now. So it seems like he's in the mode and he's dialed in and that's what he wants to do. He's fought for the position. Can he do it? Can he leverage it now?
Yeah, so as I was saying before the hand started, I did see Alex on the break, and he was talking to Wakeman about the hand, and I knew Wakeman would have some history with Yun, both being from Melbourne, and I asked Alex if he'd played with Yun a lot, and there didn't seem to be a lot of history there, and Alex wondering why that hand was turning into a bluff, and I basically just said, I don't think you've played against Yun before, because many players have felt the wrath of Yun, who just now wakes up with kings.
I actually, wow. I'll talk about it after, but I actually have quite a history with Yun myself. This is an unfortunate spot for Yun to not have the audience hear about his ace-4 before, because now he'd be getting a lot less credit with his kings.
All poker players in the mini-main flight D, your blinds are
I've
up.
heard Gavin's
Blinds
been
are now 1,500,
pretty liberal with
3,000
some of his
with a
plays,
3,000
so
big blind.
curious to see how he proceeds
All
here. Would
poker players
expect a
in our
call.
mini-main flight D, your blinds are up.
The violence here if he calls and a 5 comes. My goodness, Braden.
Liberal is one of the words I would use to describe.
I've had the pleasure of playing some side games with Gavin.
Okay.
It's been pretty wild this week. Big T coming in. The ace-4 was crazy. Amen, brother.
Like a 10-7-5 rainbow or something.
Ooh. Wow. He has the 5 of clubs as well. Come on. What a setup this is.
How was life when
I think we're going to do a turn, Braden.
I think we'll be going to a turn at least. At least.
Had a bad end of call or whatever.
If I can squeeze it in while we're waiting to hear Yun's sizing here, which I expect is always going to be a continuation bet. If you see this board in like a single raise pot where, say, unit opened and the big blind defends, the big blind's range is all over this. But Gavin is under the gun. This could not be more different to that situation. Kings are loving this board. But yeah, Yun and I actually played 2-5 cash at Crown together in about 2012, 2013.
I was going to say I'm aware of the limits in cash games that Yun plays now, so I'm thinking 2-5 might have been a long, long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And this is a big turn coming. Wow, I feel like Gavin's not going to want to give up this very often. He's still got equity. He might still be good. I could see us going to a river, and I would predict that we do. But yeah, Yun and I, we played low stakes cash together. We didn't see each other for quite a long time. And where we reunited was this tournament last year in the 25K, which of course we both final tabled. Yun came 9th and I did the deal with Yeeta heads up to take home first place prize money. And we were looking at each other and I was like, have we played before? And he was like, I think we have. And we were trying to find it. We had this like long conversation. Was it a tournament? Was it in Vegas? And then we were like, hang on, it was like 2-5 or 2-3 at Crown.
That
we were
is
like,
so
wow,
crazy.
what a time to reunite in a 25K buy-in like 12 years later.
That's incredible. Yun comes with not just under 2/3 here.
Yep.
Not too many 2-5 players at the same table would have graduated to 25Ks as I have told this story a couple of times on stream. If you do go back and look at the great Michael Adamo's Hendon Mob, you will see a few $50 midday madness scores.
I heard you say that. I was amazed to see that actually. I have an addition to that.
Here we go.
Oh, Gavin.
These are raising chips, Didier.
He's cooking.
He
What will he
is.
come up with? Has he got some time banks? That's probably a key question here too. I can see a few there underneath the dots.
Yeah.
Looks like he's got 3. Maybe he's just trying to figure out how much he has left behind. That would be my guess.
I think he might have been right before when you might be wishing that everyone saw the ace-4 hand half an hour ago, because Gavin's going to think he's got the best hand here nearly always if he had that history, but comes with call.
Oh my God, there's 2 million in this pot now. That's enough to be coming 3rd right now in the FT. This is a massive river coming.
This is crazy. One of those 5s has been folded.
Okay, well, it is actually nothing else other than a good run out for Yun. What is he really going to be afraid of here? 6s? Probably deuces, like, if that's, like, I mean, I would expect Gavin to open deuces a little bit more.
I think
than
Gavin
other
could
pros.
be the only. I think Gavin could be one of the only players.
It really
here that
is just
opening
those 2
twos.
hands, you know, quad 3s, 6s full, deuces full. This is a fairly comfortable value jam for Kings. Yun might do something like 1.7. But
Well, SBR is less than. It's got 1.5 behind.
he actually covers Gavin, so there's really, there's no reason not to jam unless he feels like there's some deep meta to not saying the words all in. I would expect to see something around the size of it.
Of course, when we're counting combos, we never count quads, do we?
No,
like,
not very
you can't
much.
Add, you can't add
like,
the
it's
extra
kind
combos
of, if they have it, they have
quads,
it. Hey,
right?
Although I won't lie, Gavin is probably one of the few players on this table who probably wants to win so much that he may not care about the ICM of the min cash. He may just say, Yun, if you're bluffing, you're bluffing. I'm going to go with it, mate.
Of course, that bubble is a 3x $71,000.
It's a nice, juicy, nearly 3x min cash.
It's craziness. Two-time banks.
Wow, he's only got one left by the looks of things as well.
Two-time banks. No, he's...
oh, he's shuffling them.
He's
My
shuffling
bad. Yeah, he's got a lot.
That was not an all-in. That was not an all-in. 1.2. Leaving Gavin with 350,000, just under 10 big blinds behind if he calls, and it is wrong, which we'll know that he is. Can Gavin find this? Let's run into the absolute top.
It's actually a quite interesting size, because if Gavin does call, it's not necessarily bad for Yun to not realise the full 300k. Nice fold, Gavin.
Doesn't change too much in the scheme of things, but
what it actually does, Braden, is that if he does get the call and he gets the result that he wants, he gets called by worse, is that he actually puts everyone else, and I'll have to see who the other short stacks are, but he puts everyone else in ICM jeopardy where they have to wait for Gavin to bust. So it gives him this ability to actually win more than the 300k in smaller pots.
Is that as relevant now as it would be, say, with 6 or 7 left? We're still, it is still 5 paying. Is that a consideration with 3 off the money at this stage, do you think?
Player dependent, I feel like some of the more accomplished pros would still be saying, look, even though we're on the final table, we're not actually that close to cashing, and that's something you do need to think about more in these super high rollers, as opposed to if you're playing a big main event, for example, where, you might be in a player field of several hundred people. If you're 4 off the money, you're exceptionally close to the money. Whereas in I believe we had a 34-player field today. Like, you still need to lose more than 10% of the field to reach the money here. So you're not really that close. Yeah, it's very much a navigation and an adjustment when you're playing in these sort of shorter fields to understand how close you really are. And to be honest, it's not going to be super close until you're maybe 2 off. And what it might end up still doing, however, is capping someone who, say, is sitting around 5th or 4th. Those stacks suddenly become hugely handcuffed by this guy needing to bust. So when people are looking at that 1.2 instead of asking why he's not going all in on the river, that could be a potential reason that Yun's looking at. He just wants to increase his control over the FT rather than necessarily getting a bust, and still realizing there's still a fairly amount of chips being similar. Vincent coming with a call here in the cutoff.
To ask you about that.
This is another interesting function. He's probably one of those stacks, I would imagine, sitting around 6th or 4th or something like that.
Well, I mean, we're going to be all in here.
He's probably looking at Malcolm right now being like, oh, baby, I have just set the trap. I am so good at this game. But he's still only going to be in a flip. It's kind of unlucky for Vincent to be in a flip.
Exactly.
Malcolm's going to take that spot for the dead money. Not necessarily super wide, just wider than hands
versus Malcolm Ace Queen
Ace Jack.
Take like sevens. Take like 7.
He could well take something around that category, possibly 8s plus.
Oh, he's got it in.
Something around there.
Did he get it in too?
His hand is just doing incredibly well.
Oh, so you cancel each other out.
It's a bad beat to see Ace Queen before the result. Well, let's see what happens.
No, actually not.
It's a huge shift for Vincent if he holds.
Flops, 5 of clubs, 9 of spades, king of spades.
Much working there for Malcolm. Backdoor straight possibilities. One of those queens has been folded.
Yeah.
And we're going to be down to 5 outs once for Malcolm Trayner.
My New South Wales vice captain. Can he river it? He can't.
GG's Malcolm.
GG's Malcolm.
Going to lose Malcolm Trayner in 7th, which means we are now 2 off the money here in the $25,000 TLPT International buy-in. Of course, here at the Voco Centre in Brisbane, $330,000 up top. Just remember, we are 2 off the money, but that is, as we were just talking about,
boy, what'd you
3x. Just under a 3x min cash, $71,000 for 5th.
I don't care.
Incredible. And Vincent has just skyrocketed, I think, from 7th to 4th. So he's now in a position where he can kind of chill. And that was just massive for him in terms of reaching that min cash. He's going to be praying the other short stacks bust now.
What much history have you had in the very short but storied career of Gary Lin?
As a Chinese Australian, probably the most Brazilian player I've played with in recent years. I love that he takes Hugo Seivel's scarf whenever he can to just wear the Brazilian scarf because, you know, I want to give him all the credit in the world for being a young player that's trying to go for it. He plays everything, you know, you see him playing the low buy-ins at ABTs, other events, and he's also here for 25Ks.
I played 2-5 at Adelaide with him literally not even 6 months ago.
Bro, I saw him playing the Limit Hold'em game and Limit Omaha game at WPT last week. He just loves poker. He wants to play everything. He wants to increase his exposure, and I love that he goes for it. I really like his style, and I think, honestly, if I could give a prediction, in 10 years' time, 5 years' time, he's going to be one of our better pros. He's learning what works and doesn't work, and he's doing that through pure aggression. He's one of the most aggressive players I play with commonly on these tours. Perhaps a little too aggressive in some nodes, if I'm quite honest. But I think he's learning, and I think he's getting there. And to be playing at the stakes that he's playing at, like right now at his age, it's only going to benefit him. So full power to him.
And of course, a trophy winner here already won the
Blockbuster, I believe.
Yes, the Blockbuster for 16,000, which. I think he joked that that was a satellite into the 15K.
Yeah, good on you, Gaza.
Some interaction between both hands here. Sosia opting for check.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah,
She knows that she's going to be able to realize the value of seeing fire by checking back and not playing an inflated pot here. I don't know if Yun would be check raising this flop too much ordinarily, but
I mean,
it is Yun, you know, like this is the guy that I don't really want to predict what he's doing today. It seems like he's very much trying to assume the mantle of chip leader now and going for it. Not that this hand would not necessarily be a bet anyway, but Sosia's going to call. Let's see what he can cook up on the river. He's probably planning to follow through on a lot of rivers right now. Obviously, aside from when he makes his hand, I would expect to see spades barrel a fair amount of the time.
Do you open this off 30
All
plus
poker
2
players
when
appear
you
low,
big blind off?
800, 1600.
It's such a good hand in
blinds
terms
will
of its
appear low,
playability. I'm going to
800,
open it off actually
1600.
quite a lot shorter. And
Into Yun specifically, to off the money?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Hello.
Wow. And I think Yun's still going to want to try and rep this. Like, does Sosia have a range that's too King X heavy when she checks back? She probably bets King Jack on the flop. She may have Ace King, but she may well bet that on the flop too. I would expect both to get bet most of the time. King Queen is board blocked, so I think this is actually a fairly intuitive follow through for Yun to rep something like exactly King Jack when he's holding the hand that he has. Also, being the chip leader, he's going to want to be a touch more aggressive in these nodes and try and put the pressure on.
How large do you think we're going here?
Well, given we're repping King Jack, it's not like something we really want to be over-betting, for example. I don't think we're going to want to rep Ace Jack or Jack 9 ourselves here as much as we are one pair. So, oh wow, he is going full pot. I would have expected something a little bit smaller, maybe 400s, 420, something like that. So, Sosia is just going to be internally licking her lips. She might occasionally find a just call here, looking at some of the other stacks if she was deeper, but I believe as the shortest stack, she is likely going to run the second nuts into a jam. It's definitely worth a think. It's definitely worth a think when Yun uses full size. How often is he doing that with less than Ace Jack Jack 9 himself? Is he going for 500 with, say, deuces, threes, king queen? Maybe, maybe not. So I wouldn't actually fault Sosia here for a just call with the implications of a 1.5 mil pot taking her into the stacks that are going to be feeling like they're in the money. And
I think you're on the money here, Didier. These are calling chips. Hey.
Nope, she's left a little bit behind. And Yun's going to obviously auto-fold. I think as the shortest stack, you don't need to observe those ICM principles as much, and jamming's very reasonable.
Just wrap,
yeah. And look at the shift for Vincent and Sosia just so quickly between these hands. Vincent now becomes essentially the last stack to be currently ITM in the money, and he was just sitting fourth, so he'll hate, don't get me wrong, they're friends and they're really good compatriots as Kiwis, but he'll be hating to see another similar stack just slightly overtake him now. Vincent as well, I should say, one of the rising stars, playing all the Tritons these days. And I used to see him playing small stakes cash himself and small stakes tournaments. Someone who's put so much work into their game, growing up in Queensland as a kid. Vincent and I, along with Bert Perry, were, I want to say, one of the last groups of players to ever actually get to play with Shane Warne. We played a 3,300, I think it was like a WPT League side event at Southport Sharks. Maybe, what would it be? Maybe 4 years ago or something now, 3 or 4 years ago now. And first time and only time I've ever got to play with WARNE myself, and he was such a pleasure to play with. Such a funny guy, talking about his real estate, a bit of partying on the weekend, and just a really chilled out guy who really liked cards. I busted him that day in a flip with Ace-King against Queens, and he very begrudgingly shook my hand. He wasn't taking it exactly well, but
he's very competitive.
He's a very competitive man. That's what I love about poker. You get these retired sports stars, and they have this ability to still realize that competitive edge, even though they're older, and they're wiser as well. So poker kind of works in the two senses, you know. The legs might not be as fast, Brayden, but the mind still is. You know, someone finishing at, you know, mid to late 30s, why not? Come get in there. We saw Andrew Bogut this year. I met him at State of Origin. He loves it, man. How good to get someone like him in the event.
I played 5-5 with Andrew Bogut more than, I reckon, with like mid-2010s.
Wow.
Like he's at the peak of his powers.
Yeah,
he has that Crown Casino literally playing for the Golden State Warriors on his like month off. Crown Casino playing 5-5.
It's got to be small stakes.
It would be. I joked yesterday when I brought that story up. It's got to be 0.0001% of the net worth of Andrew Bogut. That's how much he loves the game.
Yeah, that's
He's playing
great,
5-5 on his day off.
Good on him. Yun going with the limp here pre. I'm actually surprised to see Yun taking a limping strategy as the chip leader against Kahle, who would be one of the stacks you could put a lot of pressure on, who are waiting for the bubble to burst. I think that must be a function of Yun respecting Kahle in position on him, and I don't blame him.
I mean, Yun, he's for the streets, but she's going to work out here. We'll be seeing a river as well. Kahle picking up the gut shot. One of those outs has been folded. Yun opts for check. You find a barrel here if we're Kahle, do you?
I was going to say, Yun has check raised the absolute nothing all day. He's finally ready to put the check raise in with something of value. Look at him. No, I don't think I would as Kahle. Jack High can very occasionally be good, and he can realize his equity quite simply by checking back. So this is always going to be fine to see a river in position when we can still realize some equity, we can still bluff some rivers, and quite frankly, in a limp pot like this, Yun is going to have to give up a lot of his hand strength on the river and allow us just to make some quite simple decisions. It's not a hand we really want to be torching versus a check raise, which Yun has proved himself to be more than capable of today. When we have equity and we can improve so much, plus having some very, very rare amount of showdown value. You'd probably expect the check-check line to have something more like ace high or king high, maybe bottom pair in there as well, when he's not going for it as the chip leader, and a node you'd expect him to be putting a lot of pressure on. So yeah, I'm fascinated to see how these two navigate in those blind versus blind spots in the future, but still looks like Yun is trying to be a little bit trappy, but respectful at the same time.
Yeah, I think that still being too off the money here. Of course, $71,000 for our fifth place getter, $330,000.
Nice chunky min cash, isn't it?
It's incredible. Talk about how much that changes an ICM spot such as this, where we're 3 off the money, 71,000, compared to maybe if we're in a 2K, the min cash is 3,800, for example.
You do need to actually prioritize the min cash significantly more. The reason why it's a big min cash is because in these sort of super high roller events, the average amount of buy-ins that each player is in for could be more like 1.8x rather than say 1 or 1.5x. So they do want to try and accommodate the fact that more players could be in for, say, 50k here than 25k, and that gives them the ability to have a substantial min cash. In a lot of other events, people might be more inclined to be more one and done, just a single bullet, play it, see how it goes, mate. But in these, you know, is Kahle ever giving up after one bullet? Is Vince giving up after one bullet? Is Sosia giving up after one bullet? Quite frankly, for everyone on this table, the answer is quite honestly no.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Kwan's in for 2, Kahle's in for 1, Sosia's in for 1, Vincent, I think, is in for 1, Gavin's in for 2, Yun...
Mega late regged 1, I believe.
Yeah, Yun actually, funnily enough, last year won the ticket to this event. He came 9th in the 25k last year and 8 cashed. However, 9th was a 25k ticket. So he's been holding on to this ticket for all year, and look at him. He's fully realizing it at the moment.
Of course, I'm not sure if that is his second, but he definitely mega late reg 25 big blinds. So
there you go.
As he is really put the foot to the floor here. I think we're about 10 minutes away from the table realizing what that hand may have been. Of course, it was really, really good viewing when the footage got to the table about Yun's hand. Kahle and Alex and Vincent talked about it at length, and I basically just put the table mic on and let the viewers listen into what they had to say.
That's fantastic work by you, my friend. Sometimes it really is more important to hear what the players are saying, and I find one of the skills in the commentary booth is obviously trying to inform the audience about what's going on and giving out general ideas, but sometimes the player banter is just all we really need. And we just got to sit back, which is a skill in itself. Well done, Braden.
Also, the two, because the table mic is just under Kahle there, if you can see it. We couldn't hear a lot, but there's 2 words I did hear. The one was Alex was, there's no bluffs there, and then I heard Vincent say, gangster.
2 comments I would broadly agree with most of the time. Now look at this, Kahle's opening the 4-3 suited. Some people might joke that Kahle would do that anyway. However, this is actually specifically a function of the fact that once Yun folds, Kahle takes the mantle of ship leader. He is the guy that needs to be putting pressure on. So how does Quan Zhou react with King Jack off here? You know, I would expect aggressively.
3 raise.
He's someone that needs to win chips because he's currently sitting, I believe, 6th at the moment when we last looked at the chip counts. So he's not currently one of those stacks that's just going to fold their way into the money. He very much needs to go for it. Be hard to imagine Kahle continuing here, but if anyone can, my word.
Tlpt, good to see you in the chat. Happy birthday, mate. Coming off the back of his highest score.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday, mate. That's great.
APL Million 6 Max winner for about $25,000.
Fantastic. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, mate. Good to see you in the chat. Long time, always in there watching these Australian live streams.
I thought there was like a fingernail.
Use some of that knowledge you picked up here in this stream on that $25,000 score at the 6 Max at APL Millions. Well done, mate.
That's not what it was.
What do you think of this shirt from Vincent?
Style, vibes, color. I mean, what do you do when someone wearing that shirt 3-bets you? You have to adjust, surely.
That is so
It's not
true.
a normal 3-betting range when someone 3-bets you wearing that shirt.
It can't be.
I'm internally a bit more, yeah. Like I'm peeling more, I'm 4-betting more, like, so I think it just works.
Did you catch much of the, was it the mystery, 100k mystery bounty that Vincent was deep in it at the Triton?
I did see some of it, actually. I don't believe I caught all of it. It was very much just a hand here and there, but I thought, wow, like, pretty cool to see a guy that I kind of grew up with, you know, playing these stakes. I think he's a couple of years younger than me, but just kind of cool to see the people that you grow up with playing in the biggest stakes. I think it makes you feel like you can do it as well.
Absolutely. Of course, you're coming off the back of one of your biggest scores at the WPT.
Yeah, I was very lucky to come in 9 out of 9 in the 10k WPT high roller and navigate my way to 2nd.
Were you 9 of 9?
I was 9 of 9.
Wow.
Ninjaed my way to heads up, well, to 4th, I should say, and that's when I put my pedal to the metal and was quickly 1 out of 4. And Martin Finger and I played an amazing hand where he flop trips and I rivered a boat. So that was quite important. And then, yeah, navigated my all the way to heads up. Was 96% to win the trophy and did not win the trophy, unfortunately. But look, I can't really
I heard
complain.
about that. What was the exact hand?
It was 8-2-3 king rainbow board. I had ace king, he had 9s. All the money was in, and I was...
Is that all in pre?
It was all in pre, yes.
Okay.
So it was a flip pre, to the man's credit. But once we got that turn, the celebrations were almost beginning on the rail, and it was not my favorite time to get riveted.
Oh my goodness.
Still got PTSD from being heads up for a WSOP bracelet, so I joked to Lynn Gilmartin, the host of the WPT, that I've got some WPT PTSD built up now. You'll see me in more of those as well. Maybe that's how they keep me coming back.
Yeah, of course. What was the WSOP event?
I was heads up in a 1K WSOP in 2014.
Oh my god.
Admittedly, very lucky to actually get heads up on that occasion. I was a deep 3 out of 3. And there was a limped pot where it came like 10-10-3 and they both had a 10 and stacked off. So I won't pretend like I was ever actually very close to winning that one. The WPT very much felt like it was going down.
Yeah, goodness gracious. We spoke.
But hey, it's been a great year. I'm going to be the last person to complain broadly. It's been my best year in tournaments. Very thankful. Obviously, this tournament last year really, I think, was like my breakout moment. Kind of clicked everything together and set me on a run. I think, doing well in a super high roller buying gives you a lot of confidence in any format that you're playing, that you can play with the best, and hopefully graduating throughout the Australian poker scene.
What's next then? Now you're on a roll. Are we traveling overseas anytime soon?
Yeah, look, we've got a Triton Monte Carlo satellite on Sunday, and I'm kind of keen to flick that. I have always sort of said those EPT events have been some of the tougher ones to play, so I haven't really found my way over. But I've always wanted to play a Triton, so a Triton in Europe is quite tempting. Not exactly the same field as you see in an EPT.
No.
So, yeah.
I think...
might do that, but December's the big call. WPT or WSOP Paradise. I have not made a call yet. That's a very tough one.
I think potentially as well. It's a little spice here.
A little spicy here.
I think Sosia weighs up her decision.
Thanks, Taylor. That's so nice of you to say. Recovering. Alas, Vincent turns the world draw with a nut flush draw and a gutter to the Broadway. Sosia's still just going to try and take her showdown value to the river. Ace High can easily be winning here quite a lot. I'm curious to see how Vincent navigates, because these stacks are very similar as well, but Vincent is slightly behind. If there is an incentive for someone to take down the dead 300k, it's him. However, I would still expect him to be in the same node as Sosia and saying that Ace High can just be good here, so why not check back? Why not get to the river? And this is just going to go check on the river almost every time. And I think Sosia is going to feel a little hard done by to see one pip getting her done. In honestly, like 300k, it's just it's a limped pot. Oh, sorry, it's a single raised pot right here, but that's enough to shift the advantage from Sosia to Vincent.
Lines and
he's going to overtake her. Should be a pretty quick check here by Vincent, I would imagine, most of the time.
Suspect looked over there from Vincent.
Yeah. Are you overchecking a 3 here, Sosia, or a 5 or a 4? God, I hope I win. Check. That's the thought process.
Mentioned a couple of times here on the coverage that we don't get to see too many Australians on Triton final tables. Of course, Travis Endisby's run got a mention on our broadcast quite regularly. Final tabling a Triton event. It's Josh McCulley in the last series as well. Vincent's been there as but too many after that. Adamo, it's good to see him back in the mixed final table in that 200k. Or just bubbling it, but other than that, I don't see too many Australians flicking those in. So
correct.
Could you be the next? Could you be the next?
Now that would be one hell of a story, wouldn't it? My friend, that would be great. However, I believe we have forgotten that we have a Triton winner on this final table in Mr. Kahle Burns. I believe him and Adamo are the only Australians with those titles. Adamo has 2, Kahle has 1. That feels like an ongoing battle we're going to see for at least 2 decades, if I had to guess. Adamo and Kahle, in my opinion, at least obviously if you look at the Hendon mobs right now, they are in fact the 2 Australians, the only 2 Australians to have overtaken Joe Hash from on Hendon mob. And I think to do that in your lifetime is an achievement. To be doing it by the age of their mid-30s to early mid-30s is that's just incredible.
Michael's 30th birthday was only last month. He's only 30.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
He's only 30.
I've actually been playing with him since he was legal. Now I feel old. I'm only 33, but now I feel old.
That's crazy. low-key 30th for Michael, but he just turned 30.
This is your 90-second call.
I did mention
Make your way back to your tables.
before the break that he will be at the next Triton Series. He's looking for a partner in that 500k businessman.
Oh, I can be the VIP.
Yeah, he can't get he can't get in. Really? He can't get a spot. And I said I would just mention that maybe Sosia could, because Sosia has been
she has been a VIP
twice.
at the Triton twice. Wow, I only knew the first one.
She's been the business the VIP and had Jason Kuhn in the last. It was her last partner and.
Sosia's got to be the best businessman, the best VIP in that field.
Talal Shakurji was a VIP.
Oh,
like, come on.
Boy, can I tell you something about Talal? Talal's incredible. I saw him playing, I think it was the 50k PPC, not this year, the year before, in 2023. And it's maybe a day or two later, I'm walking by to go reg something, and you know what I see him playing, Brayden?
I don't want to know.
The electronic poker table.
Oh no, I've heard this.
It was like $1, $2 or something. And I think he was waiting to play some other super high roller. He's just grinding the electronic poker table, like just playing the smallest limits. I'm like, that's a man who truly loves the game.
That will do me. That will do me.
But yeah, back to the conversation about December. It's just all out war. It's so crazy with all due respect to our domestic operators here, including ourselves, WPT and WSOP are the two biggest poker operators in the world. And to see them just going for blood in the same month, at the same time, with two of the absolute biggest guarantees you'll ever see all year, is for me, not a great thing for poker.
No.
I spoke out straight away during the summer where I was over in Vegas. Sorry, I'm going to cut myself off to go to this. Oh, it was Gary Lynn. He could have 3-bet easily, Brayden. I thought we'd see some more blood. But no, I think it's kind of bad because we don't want to see the two biggest operators cutting off players from both tournaments. We as players would like to play both. So it's a shame that December's so contested now.
And those massive guarantees are going to share a lot of the pool. Nearly, maybe half the field would definitely at least be playing both.
I would think so. At those buy-ins, yes, absolutely. If it was a November to December thing, we'd be seeing basically the field, I think in my opinion, at least 1.5x for both of them respectively. When I actually signed with APT myself, I spoke with Tony and Joe and a lot of people behind the scenes, and I said, look, can we just agree to not try and run into other operators? I remember, I don't know if I want to name names here necessarily, but another operator ran a same size buy-in as the day that Poker Palace had their $2,500 high roller on.
I was there. I was there.
There was another operator running a 2,500, and they got decimated by trying to compete on the same day. And that was a huge learning lesson, I think, for that company and for everyone in saying that the players didn't not want to go play that other 2,500.
I would have played. I was there. I would have played both.
Yeah,
you would have as well.
I would have played both. And what I liked is the dialogue afterwards was so wholesome between not only those two brands but the other brands, and saying like, hey, let's try and stop doing this. Yeah. I spoke with Victor from the Asian Poker Tour, and unfortunately we as APT had a bit of a problem. Oh, this is interesting now, is Gavin sort of backs into 2-pair on a board where all of Kahle's range opening under the gun is pretty significantly completed. Wow, that's a good check by Gavin. I think we're going to see Kahle fire this fairly often now.
Would the 4-liner ever stop us?
Occasionally, sure. But Kahle has all of the ace-king. He can still value bet some 2-pairs here. So it's quite interesting with the exact hand that he has. Yeah, you don't win on this board with ace-high particularly often either. I think Gavin's just going to find a call here.
That's got us many times in the booth this week. The time chip slow roll, the time chip.
Yeah, Quan got me really good actually.
You gotta be so careful.
I jammed the button and he was in the big blind, and he kind of did this like weird chip thing with his time bank to make it look like he'd call, as he actually followed it just to troll me, and I ended up showing my hand even though he'd mucked, and we had a good laugh at the table. He's got some chip tricks there, Guangzhou.
And they will be with you very shortly. Last chance for a massage from the ladies from Best Hand Shiatsu Massage.
And Gavin does call as I expected.
What do you think about, obviously, on board the APT as an ambassador, but you did have a lot to do with the structures. I think they've been, at this buy-in level, been incredibly well received. How much effort and planning is something that you enjoyed putting a lot of time into into these structures here for the TLPT events?
Yeah, so I did the 2200 PLO and all of the TLPT events, which included the 7.5K, the 15K, our 25K we're watching now, and the 5K 6 Max coming up on Saturday. I was also heavily involved in State of Origin, not so much in terms of the structure or the point system, more in terms of promoting the event, contacting the players, organizing the captains and stuff like that. And look, I don't want to toot my own horn, but State of Origin was one of the most, that was arguably more fun than I've ever heard in poker.
I haven't heard a bad word about it. I've had everyone in commentary, you know, I had Angel in, I don't know if you caught any of it, but he was amazing, and he got Andrew Moreno over here
so
for the
cool.
international.
So cool.
It's like, Moreno didn't even know something like that could exist. Poker being such an individualistic pursuit, being able to cheer for something, getting behind a team, and you know, 6 players on a table can get into someone for hitting a king on the river and all that type of stuff.
That's like viral hand.
Yeah, that is the viral
Seeing
hand.
all of our heartbreak when Dale hit that king on the river, like,
It's
don't get me wrong,
great
in
to
the
have.
moment I was so upset. You could see me like hands in hair, but as soon as I watched it back, I thought this was maybe the funniest hand I'd ever seen. And certainly on an Australian live stream, like, Joe Hashem has taken his hat off, he's cursing under his breath. Lynskey, you can't hear it on the stream, Lynskey is cursing the whole way through because he knows it's coming. That's how tuned in the guy is. He just goes, mate, he's always hitting it when this many people are anti-sweating him, and he's mouthing profanities.
So true.
And I love Angel's like Latin sort of like heat comes out at the end of that. You know, I've got head in hands, Joe's got head in hands, Angel's just gone for the arms raised, you know, like in the air violently. Jono's shaking his hand, although Hamish, the New Zealand captain, they were coming second last admittedly. He's kind of taken a moment, appreciated everyone that's going on, and just found it so funny. And he's burst out laughing at all of us. I love Hamish's reaction as well. So it was just such a wholesome experience. Dale, honestly, the WA captain, he's so reserved normally. You would never see him double fist
very
bumping.
reserved.
He barely ever drinks. He was double fist bumping, he was drinking, he was screaming, let's
What
go
does that tell
WA.
you? What does that tell you about the State of Origin? right?
Exactly, it's so unique, and I really hope we've got a fixture on the Australian calendar going forward.
As that reel of that viral
There
thing
it
that
is.
just put in the link to that Facebook reel in the chat of our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch
Please
viewers.
watch that hand, but before you do, we've got a little something cooking here.
We do.
I don't think we're going to see this not go in pre. If Quan gets away from this somehow, I will be amazed.
375.
375?
And Kale's kind of taken a bit of a fall in terms of the stacks here. Like, he's almost hovering on being... I think he is hovering.
Snap jam
Wow.
from Sal.
Yeah.
He didn't even think about
Didn't think
that.
about it. I didn't think he would. It's Kale. Kale can have 3 bets. 3-bet bluffs here, more so than most. However, in this configuration, I would suggest less so. But that's between us. And
everyone else watching.
Yeah.
One thing I will note, Didier, we've seen a lot of 3-bet bluffing out of the big
Alright,
blind.
guys, we do
It's
have
much more
another
of a thing now.
all-in
It's much
on
more
our
of a
page
thing.
account.
And
We have
let me, like some of the
Pocket
hands I
King
can
versus
recall,
Quan.
say for example, Lynskey and Malcolm have found the
Pocket
Jack
Jacks.
5-0, the King
Quan is
4-0, the King
the
8-0.
Yeah, because it's going to be the nuts or nothing a lot. They go for these very polar hands. You're not going to
course.
see them use something that's like a suited connected too often. You might do that differently in the earlier stages of the tournaments, but when we're on a final table, it's very much a junk or nothing kind of spot.
We saw, we'll catch the action here, very even stacks.
It's a good flop for Kale.
12, 3 of
Certainly
hearts.
is. Got the diamonds covered as well
8 of
for
diamonds.
Kahle
And
Burns.
look how thinly Quan covers him by. This is a big moment for the entire... Oh boy.
Turns to
The gutter
7 of
comes.
clubs.
Gutter.
It's just never easy, is it?
Is this a fake gutter or is it a real?
Yeah!
Oh my goodness
my
me!
God.
South backs into the
And
backdoor
Kale's
straight.
gone. They're going to have to count it out. But
Kale was eliminated.
it's such a big moment for this FT to see Juan win there because he just covered Kale. He was going to be very short regardless, but wow. What a way to lose one of Australia's best.
That is so sick. Kahle Burns, he's going to be devastated. He would have propelled himself over 3.2
Gary
million.
Lynn is not trying to hide his emotions right now. He's thrilled.
I think they all are, let's be honest. Even
Internally.
if we're,
Internally.
And that is a Taylor Pickles run out if I've ever seen it.
She wanted blood. Don't get me wrong. Taylor's one of the nicest people, one of our best dealers. Honestly, such a fantastic dealer. As someone who forgets my big blind ante about 90% of the time.
I'm with you. I'm the worst. I'm known for it. I hate the
You know what she did the other day, Braden? She was actually finishing our table and I was the big blind. And it wasn't her responsibility to ask for my big blind ante, but she did anyway. And Phoebe was popping in to take over dealing. And Phoebe kind of looked down. She was like, "Oh, Didier, your big blind ante's over here." I'm like, "Bless Taylor." She knows me too well. She was telling me Taylor was telling me a great story when we were playing the APO 20k final table over at Poker Ballots. And she was telling me this funny anecdote about her mum asking her, "So do the high stakes players make it easier for you, you know, and forgetting their blinds and stuff like that?" And Taylor was laughing, kind of biting her lip, being like, "Well, some of them don't quite remember." And she showed me this look and I'm like, "Oh wow." Taylor's mum knows about the infamous Didier big blind antes being forgotten.
As it's a fairly jovial.
I like that we have our dealers as characters on the scene as well, you know, and having them a part of it is so much fun.
Well, we added up, when we got to the final table, we added up the hand and mob of all players to a total amount. And Jacob 4 was dealing, and we can add another 150k on the Hendon mob because Jacob's got 150k there as well.
Great.
And
he's won a WPT, Phoebe's won a WPT, like that's.
I think Jacob has a WSOP ring.
WSOPC, sorry.
Yeah.
And Phoebe's got the WPT. That's right. Sorry, Jacob. That's why he was at LA this year earlier when I went to Vegas. He was in the Champions tournament. What an incredible thing for some of our dealers. Like, I just love that they see these players at the highest stakes. They're obviously learning things, and they're just going and applying it. Like,
I mean, how can you deal to Malcolm Trayner and Kahle Burns all day, every day, and just not intuitively get better?
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about the Australian poker scene at the moment. Our dealers are just getting in there, you know, they're getting involved. Look at Catherine Young. I think she's won 2 trophies in the last couple of months as well. And she's been someone who's always been like, "I'm never going to win a trophy, I'm running so bad," you know? And I've just been like, "No, keep going, you'll do it." And with the support of like Jade and Shelly and girls like that, she kept going. Thought she was going to quit for a little while when I talked to her in Vegas, and look at that, 2 trophies. APT, APL, what's next?
What is next? I think Phoebe, 2 final tables at the WPT in the last series. Obviously, as we said, winning the women's event, but also 4th in the Survivor bounty as well. Is a player in her own right. Taylor has a APL deep freeze trophy too, I believe.
I didn't know that one actually.
Yes, I think down in Tasmania from memory. As Gary picks up Ace King in successive hands here.
Very tough run out for Kahle. Had to lose him.
It is, and I mean, obviously we're not anti-sweating on anyone here, but everyone at the table is going to pretty happy to see the back of Kahle Burns.
It's natural to anti-sweat the best player, especially when they're a stack that helps you get into the money now.
I mean, of course.
And look at this, we are on the bubble.
We are, but of course, Kahle Burns would have gone into the stone bubble with over 3.3 million chips and would have made life very tough for everyone else.
He's asking how much he is.
This is quite an FT. We have number 3 on the Chinese Hendemon list in Guangzhou. I believe he's got an EPT title, 2 tridents, at least
Okay,
one.
so at this very moment, yes,
9.7 million USD.
even with
Oh, it's
we guys
just
like in the
nuts,
hand,
isn't
they're
it?
talking about.
I believe
things that
Sosia is
other
number
people don't
1 on the New
understand.
Zealand
It could be
all-time money.
related
Oh,
to
sorry,
cards,
no. Maybe
right?
number 2 to David
So,
Yan. David Yan, I think.
Please
leads it.
try to
Yes,
not.
but David Yan
try to talk
is,
about- I know you guys try. It's hard to
I
understand,
mean,
but
we just have shot.
I know.
They don't really, yeah.
Is not on Hendon Mob.
Oh, of course.
So Sosia
Yes.
is actually the number one.
Yeah,
New
officially
Zealand
number
time
1.
analyst.
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
David.
thank you.
David would be a long way ahead if his results were tracked.
And I think Vincent, despite identifying as Kiwi, might be on the Australian list. I'm not sure if he's switched over to New Zealand yet.
No, he is on the Australian list. He was in the New Zealand state of origin.
Yes,
side,
he's on the
but-
Australian Hendon mob.
On the Australian Hood mob, but of course, Vincent, when I say only, but he's around that 1.5 million mark. Of course, I think if you took into account online earnings, it would be about 20 times
Yes,
that.
exactly.
Um,
Yun, a cash player, not going to be as high as his caliber would show.
and only recently playing tournaments as well.
Exactly, and Gary Lynn, I forget I forget how old he is now, but one of our youngest players and probably the youngest player in this entire event.
Can you hazard a guess? I won't spend too much time on it because all the viewers will know. Hazard a guess at what that total Hendon mob number was for this FT.
The total FT. So who are we missing at the moment?
Malcolm,
Lynskey,
Trayner,
Malcolm,
Malcolm, and Kahle.
And off the top of my head, Lynskey has about 5 million. Kahle has about 12, or it must be 13, so it's 18. Malcolm after WSOP would be a little over 2. So that's like, say,
You're on the ball.
20 that we're missing already. And then I don't think Yun's would be super high, maybe like 500-ish, so 20.5. Gavin, I don't know much about him, but I would imagine he's more of a cash player, maybe not too
I will
high.
give you some help. We could not find Gavin, so
Gavin's,
we gave Gavin.
okay, yeah.
We gave him a 0.
Yeah, so
We weren't able to find any Hendon mob scores.
Maybe Quan makes it 30, Sosia's making it like 33. Vince, I'm going to guess about 35 million US. That's my guess.
Just confirming numbers there is. My guess was I got stung. I got every player as the same as you, but Kahle stung me a few mil. I was a bit lower. I went in a little bit lower just because he hadn't played for some time. But Didier, you guessed 34 million, and you are absolutely unbelievable. Nearly bang on. It was 35 million.
I'm going to put my arms on my head here. I feel very smug right now.
Yes.
35 million with the dealer.
No, so it was like 39. It was like 34.9 million or something, and Jacob Fall took us to 35 million.
Wow, I
And
really
how-
nailed that.
What about if we add yours? What are we at? 37,
Myself?
36.
I think I've got 1.1 at the moment.
Okay, yeah. Josh, you got really close as well, but Alex got me too. I thought Alex's WSOP main event score was like a 6th, but it was an 8th, and that cost me by $1 million. But I think I guessed like 7 or 8 for Kahle, which was far too low. Of course, 13 million for Kahle, 35 million USD. But let's spice that up a little bit and convert her over. That's 50 million AUD here at this final table.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. We are on the stone bubble here.
Very interesting to see how some of these really experienced players proceed on the stone bubble. And you know what? We actually have a pretty interesting race for Tlpt Player of the Year now, because it is just these 4 events, the 7.5K, the 15K, the 25K that we're watching now, and the 5K 6 max on the weekend. So, judging by the winners, from what I know, Andy Lee is not playing the 5K 6 max, and I think he just edged Kahle. I think it was like 260 to 200 in terms of their wins. So Andy Lee, from what I understand, will have the lead right now. Kahle will be in the hunt, but whoever wins this will actually take over as the Player of the Year leader with the 5K still to come. So there could be an interesting race if, say, Kahle goes deep in that 5K or if Lynskey goes deep after the final tabling vote so far.
What's up top there? Is there a...
no win, just pride.
Just pride, pride. A trophy?
No trophy. Unless I might be due something. Maybe I'll talk to the TLPT. If they want to give me a trophy, then I'll take it begrudgingly a year late. However, I believe it is just for pride.
Sosia's going to open up the sevens here.
Yeah.
Not too far away from a break here. Didier, and it's been a great 2 hours in the booth with you. Thanks for joining us. Hope I can get you in at some point.
Yeah, I've just been so
the
busy.
near future.
Very keen.
You've always been playing, of course. There, I believe. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but there is a reel coming of the King Jack fold. So you may be you may be subject of a viral APT moment coming up.
That's
TLPT moment. It's all been done. The reel's been completed. I've seen it with commentary and a lot of zooming in on your reactions and facial expressions
Looking
during
in pain,
the hand.
no doubt. Yeah.
You're really going to. Well, pain was one of them. Pain was one of them.
Okay.
World-class fold that was.
Thanks, man.
And we decided it was so world-class we've turned that one into a reel.
That's cool.
As we are closing in on our break, we'll take a 15-minute break. Might just be the last. Oh, the reel is live, did he?
Oh, okay, wow.
So when you get up from the break,
have a
you'll
geese
be
on
able to have a
Facebook.
geese on Facebook and share that around.
Yeah, there you go.
As loving those reels, of course. That first one went viral with the State of Origin. Look
Two
out.
reels or I'm in pain, apparently.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the ethos here for these reels. Get him in pain.
Get in pain. It's a really, you're really going to like it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I think the timing is in which I say words to the effect of, I just don't know if we can get away with this as soon as those cards hit the mark. It was such an incredible world-class fold. But I think too, if you do have a look at our reels, the one that went up before you was when Yisha decided to jam the 6-4 suited over Trav's Open with 3 left.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And
flopped a straight.
And yeah, I think the heading of our reel is deck reads. So
I mean, how can one person make so many straights? She did jungle with the straight, which sort of hurt me vicariously.
Yeah.
Did me with a straight. I had 2 swaps on the FT, which were Andy and Angel, and she did Andy in that hand with the 6-4 suited, which overtook her on Angel to bust Angel the next hand. And I was like, with all due respect, without knowing someone, this individual has hurt me quite a lot financially with a period of a few hours.
I think here. Oh no! It's been put in all. The reel has been put in all of our Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube chats. If you want to see Didier, if you enjoy seeing Didier in pain, just click on that the link to that reel. And of course, you were on the outer table, so there is no vision. But
oh, look at this. Yun is going for it again with the King 10-0. He's putting pressure on the bubble. This is what we thought we'd see a bit more of. And now Yun's just waited for his distribution to sort of even out a bit. Good hand to steal. King 10 suited, he might be flatting here to play in position on the button, but he's just going with it with this offsuit combo. And This is a wild spot for Vincent because just peeling the 3-bet here immediately makes him the shortest stack on the bubble. So this is a hand where I was just going to say I could see him folding every time with that info where you might be looking at this and saying, I would never fold that pre. Why would you ever fold that pre? And look at it. He kind of is navigating now as the shortest stack after just losing that open.
Yeah. I think too, I was about to mention that on the FT bubble of our 15K, you were on the outer tables. We didn't have footage of it, but we don't want to sit here and talk about bad beats. But you suffered a pretty horrendous one at the hands of Yisha, which is, I know where that comment's coming from, but after I read that hand, there's, you know, people here, you hear bad beat stories all the time and people are pretty keen to tell them, but that was an absolute shocker.
Yeah, I'm not doing well when I have them at like 94% or 96%. I just want to be like 80% for the future, you know, that I hold. Yeah, you know, when you're overkill like that, that's when it comes for like all the drama. But yeah, like you said, I don't want to linger on the bad beats. And if anything, I actually want to congratulate Yisha because she didn't come to, you know, fold into the money, right? She thought that jungle was essentially playing with her and taking advantage of the dead money that was me in that hand, and she just wanted to go for it. And clearly she's had some success already in poker by trusting her read and going with it. So look, it was a bit too aggressive in the moment with regard to the hands that she ran into, which can be a function of luck, but she really didn't want to get run over, and I respect the fact that she tried to hold her own in a very, very tough final 2 table configuration. It was me, Jungle, Andres, I think Andy Lee, you know, none of us are exactly coming to fold ourselves. So look, you know, I think...
Do you want to guess, out of the first 8 hands of coverage of the final table, how many hands of those 8 Yisha played?
8.
8.
I was trying to be ambitious. I didn't think you were actually going to say 8 straight away.
8 hands played. And the next, I think the 9th was like, oh, this surely can't happen again. And it was like Jack 2-0 MP. I'm like, is she gonna do it? Is she gonna do it? But it was just too far down for Yisha.
Incredible. She
was there to play. It was truly a sight to behold. Took every spot. Yun comes with check here. Interesting river here for Yun, giving him 2 pair. Turn has gone check, check. Vincent weighing up his options. Well, always coming with check. Clear value bet here for Yun, do you think, or is he just going to check? He does.
Yeah, just checks it back. Interesting spot on the 4-liner, obviously. I think a sort of ace-x2 pair, you might think about it, but he's more than happy to just get to showdown after getting lucky. That is a massive river, though. Let's not make that understated. Vincent just got absolutely cooked in terms of the swing of that hand. Again, taking him back into the bubble. You know, he would not have been the shortest stack, and now he is becoming more and more so the shortest stack. So his strategy might have to start shifting soon. He's still fairly close to the pack, but he's going to be looking at Gavin specifically and wondering how he can navigate beyond Gavin. Gavin is one of the more aggressive players, to say the least, so Vincent's probably going to be kind of trying to take his spots carefully and letting, hopefully, Gavin bust before him, from Vincent's point of view, obviously. So when he sees an open right now, he's saying, please someone 3-betting, please someone stack him, let me just squeeze into the money. And this is another spot for Yun where he might just say, hey, I'm going to put pressure on that second shortest stack. If there's anyone at the table right now you do want to put pressure on in terms of their exact stack size, it's Gavin, maybe Sosia, but of course, we still need to pick our spots well.
As I think this could potentially be the last hand before our next 15-minute break. I'm pretty sure. So, mate, can't thank you enough, Didier.
No, thank you for having me, Brad.
just APT ambassador. And,
Excited to be here.
and really grateful for you to give up your time. We've had so many great guests over the week. Of course, Angel, Jared Thatcher, yourself, and you know, a poker player's time is valuable. And you know, when we're playing high stakes, and you know, there are people that aren't kind of willing to give up their time to come in. But you know, as APT ambassador, really grateful for you to come in, and your insights are incredible. And it's pretty easy to see why you're playing the stakes that you're playing. So all the best, all the best for the rest of the week, and
cheers.
All the way through to.
It was a sentimental experience to come and commentate on the tournament that really launched me last year, if I'm honest. And I'm going to be very happy for whoever wins this. You know, there's some great players here, and I know them all quite well, with the exception of perhaps Gavin. And, you know, it's going to be a really big moment for someone to take home 336K. Like, that's just an incredible amount of money. And
it's a small house, isn't it?
Yeah, it changed my life last year, if I'm quite honest. And it's given me the opportunity and the platform to do more of what I want to be doing, and thankfully it's continued to go pretty well. So,
had you dipped your water into that buy-in level prior to that win, or was it one of the really first times that you'd...
that was the first time I played a 25K and I ripped off first place.
Oh my
and
God.
I had almost all of myself as well, so that was the even luckier thing.
Did you settle that in, or was Bitcoin flying at the time or something like that?
I had just been getting into playing high stakes cash. That's actually what I do more of than tournaments, and I mean really big high stakes cash, and I saw it was on, and a lot of the guys who actually play high stakes cash with some of the businessmen and stuff last year were playing in this tournament. They said, Didier, we're not available for cash today, why don't you come join us? And I was like, fine, I guess I'll come over. And changed my life, not only winning that tournament, but getting to see Tony and him reaching out to me to be the ambassador after the win, and the whole year coming and clicking together. So it was really one of those just life-changing moments in more ways than one.
That's
what
incredible.
I can say.
And the scores you've had since then.
Yeah, and again, that score let me have more of myself in those bigger high rollers at the APL Centurion, in both New South Wales and Queensland, WPT, Big Vegas, and other big cash games as well, which have, between you and I, gone pretty well too. So couldn't ask for more in a 12-month period. I've ran bad this week, and I probably deserved it, to be honest. Yeah. So look, you know, I'll let one of these guys shine this week. And the last thing I just wanted to say was, if people are going to look at that reel, Jordan Westmoreland, who came second in the 7.5K to Kahle, also just final tabled that WPT high roller with me. And I think he came third in the ARIA main event this year. We've been playing together for about 14 years. Fourth in the
BetMGM Grand Championship for 200K. That was.
He's had an incredible year himself. I would say similar to me, actually. And we've been playing for a very long time together. We were out in Macau back in the day, partying together and going hard in the Asian Championship of Poker back in like 2013 and 14. So that hand is not something necessarily that would go down the exact same way against everyone else, but we have as much history as you could probably imagine two tournament players have against each other. So that did shift things a little bit, at least, when people are watching that.
Yeah, of course. I remember one story I have about you is we were the $2,500 high roller at the Poker Palace, and you could still late reg on day 2. I bagged quite a nice stack, and I knocked you out. I knocked you out of that event, and to my knowledge, registration was closed. And I'm like, oh my God, isn't it great that I've knocked Didier out of the event? And we got to the FTs, 100K up top, and there you were at the other side of the table. I'm like, bro, I knocked you out. How did this happen? You put a mega late reg bullet in.
Yeah, I ran to the table.
And you took that event down.
Sorry,
I'm like, how? How did you were not supposed to be here. When did this happen?
Just sneak my way in with a max late reg.
Literally, I think it was the hand where the TD says, late reg is closed, but if you bust in this hand because the clock's gone over, you can go and late reg.
Yeah.
And that was the hand you busted in.
Yeah, us poker players, we're not a very sporty bunch at the best of times. If you want to see our full athleticism on display, it's the max late reg clock. Yeah, that's when we really pick up our sprinting.
I remember, I think you won Kings vs Queens for
against the chip leader. That was a really big moment.
I remember that hand. So it's the last just one story I've had in the back of my mind for.
Thanks for sharing that. I forgot about that. Yeah. I remember you had heaps. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's you got to the table and everything changed as has done for the last 12 months.
Look at Gary just folds sevens here. So disciplined on the bubble. He doesn't want to interact against the stack that can bust and shift his stack from just being ahead of Sosia and just being ahead of Gavin. He really just wants to maintain that stack that can get into the money. And look, let's be honest. Sevens is a hand that's going to be quite difficult to navigate post when you're expecting to see at least one overcard most of the time. So Vincent, being a great player he is not someone you necessarily need to be flatting these kinds of 5s, 6s, and 7s sometimes. You can just pass in this configuration where Gary's sitting third.
Still maintaining quite a healthy chip lead.
And thanks Kahle, or Cole if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's been... It usually happens when there's a really big all-in confrontation or such a sick bluff as Yun ran, but the chat interaction is really cool. Keeps things interesting here in the commentary box, which in turn lets us bring better coverage out to the viewer. Of course, you can see us on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. I joke that, you know, we got more direct viewers on Facebook and Twitch, and we get really, really good feedback out there. But YouTube, I think the algorithm, you know, sometimes some random people can stumble in, and some of those comments can not be very nice. So, because you get random people from all over the world.
Yeah, I'll share another quick story with you about anonymity online. And I was playing at an APL, I think it was maybe the main event actually in 2023 or 2022, one of the two. And I went to go back and look at a hand that Yeeta and I had played against each other that day. Yeeta being a fantastic player.
Who just took down APT event last night for 88,000. Yeah.
Asian Poker Tour, of course, we mean by APT. And I went to go back look at it, and there was some account, and he was just like, Didier's such a pleb. He's such a bad player. This guy just sucks, you know?
Really?
Like, he's been around since the Aussie Millions. He's just done nothing. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a harsh comment. But I noted the screen name. And then I was doing the commentary for the Jackstar a couple of days later, and the exact same screen name pops on. And you know what they said, Raiden? They said, wow, fantastic commentary, Didier. Could I ask you about this hand? I think you're such a great player.
No!
I sat there and I shook my head and I was like, man, if people just had their actual name up, I reckon that initial hate doesn't come.
No, of course it doesn't.
Right?
Of course it doesn't.
And
of course it doesn't.
That person's probably a good person, but they're just having a bad day or they've had a few drinks or something. And I learned a lot about sort of the value of those anonymous screen names versus people who are putting out their real names there. And I was a little bit down for like an hour. It was the first time that happened to me, and I said, when I saw the next comment, I was like, wow, these anonymous comments kind of don't matter if you're trying to take them like that. And it made me grow as a human being and mature, I think, quite quickly. So it was a learning experience. And I think now that we're seeing people interact from Twitch and YouTube in particular, where obviously on Facebook it's more real names and stuff, you do see that popping up. But ultimately, my advice would be for people who are watching back themselves on a stream, particularly as players on the table, is just not to take those comments to heart, really. I think most people who are coming to watch these streams are looking to be entertained, and they do want to comment on every single hand, and none of us are going to play perfectly, myself included. I expect to make mistakes when I'm on the stream table, so I'm not expecting someone to give me a 11 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 even review, and I always treat myself as harshly as I can in terms of reviewing and studying my game and looking for those spots. But I think it's important to be harsh on yourself, but not let others to be harsh on you. Ultimately, if you're trying to learn and grow in this game, be critical, be self-aware, but don't listen to everyone.
That's really, really good. I think advice not even for poker, but just for life. Really good insight too, because you can see those comments there and think, it's really interesting that you're so self-aware to be able to look back on that moment and to take something positive out of it. You know, when you could approach that with a little bit of vitriol, as I'm not sure if that's the last hand or not.
It's tough when Gary stands up every day.
It is.
Maybe he's trying to rush to the bathroom.
You can go.
Good man. The way Sosia is standing up, it feels like we're not too far away from the break, does it?
Of course, if you are just joining us, you should know by now, but we do commentate this to you off the delay, so we are here in the room. That's why we've been able to give you a lot of coverage of those outer events. Of course, been able to bring some great moments to you in the last week. We caught Shem Goltz yesterday. We were able to film him peeling every single bounty.
That's cool.
In the mystery.
That's
and
cool.
I'm not sure what the odds were, but Shem peeled every bounty upside down. And we weren't able to see what exact bounty it was, but in the end it didn't matter because it was all of them. As Xu did 3-bet the ace-10 suited prior. This could be a hand we'd look to 3-bet as well. Let's see what he comes with.
It's going to be a fold in general, but I could see him wanting to see a flop. I haven't played a lot with Quan, but generally speaking, this hand should fold. We don't really want to interact too much with the chip leader on the bubble as second out of 6.
Well, he did just do it.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's taking
he
spots
care.
with different hands.
I think it was Queen 9 off in the previous hand that Yun decided was good enough, and
I'd be surprised if Gary just ditches this as well. Again, hands you'd be calling most of the time that you just don't want to until the short stack busts here and you're in the money.
as Yun being a little bit more lively than we're used to at the table. Of course, you would have heard about Yun's bust out in the 15K.
I heard there was an error.
Yeah, it was
a slight mistake.
It was an error that cost Yun probably a medium-sized BMW.
My God.
And
So he's come back with vengeance. It's anger.
well, there was a lot of love for Yun in the chat when this final table started because everyone wanted him to take out a little bit of vengeance on the rest of the table, given that error in which could have gone either way, but unfortunately, when Yun put his chips in, he did say the words all in. If he didn't say them, he might have got away with an extra $30,000 or $40,000 in equity, but that was ruled an all in, and Lynskey holding there with the 9s versus the ace-8.
Crazy. What a hand.
Yeah, I know. Pretty incredible, and it was a insane moment in the commentary boxes. We didn't actually know, and I spoke to Yun this morning, and Yun was with one of his friends, and his friend commented that it was good. It's good that you were nice because it looked like it was an open on the stone bubble, 2 off the money, and Yun just jammed like 25 as 4th in chips over Alex's open in MP with ace-8 off at 25 bigs.
Yeah.
So I'm in here and I'm kind of like, Yun is crazy, you know. He's just
Wasn't expecting this play.
I wasn't expecting this, but Alex is opening wide and all this other stuff. And Yun's mate said, "Oh, thanks for being nice," but it was a humongous pun if that's what actually would have occurred. But obviously it wasn't. Yun just thought he was jamming 10 bigs blind on blind with ace-8. Didn't see the open of Alex over in.
It's an awful feeling.
Didn't see the open of Alex, and as you can see here, this time bank.
It does hide the cards a little bit.
Yes, and Yun.
And the shape of the table, you can see Jacob, our wonderful dealer, is a little bit into the table because there's room for him to move into, which is quite useful for the dealer, especially with poker players barely pitching their chips and their cards towards the dealer. But it does shut off seats 1 and 9 from seeing each other super easily, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So you'll notice some funny ones like Joe Hashram got a penalty on the State of Origin Captain's Sit and Go final table where he was folding out of turn and he had to miss one hand and stand up.
No.
Of all people.
Of all people, Joe Hashram.
That was quite funny. I won't lie. Yes.
I think, Yun won't want to relive that, but he just looked at me and gave me a head shake, so he's been able to forget about that one fairly quickly, and obviously late regging here in the 25K has spun that up into a final table stone bubble chip lead. Of course, what incredible play we've seen from Yun at this FT. That ace-4 bluff was truly something to behold, and I think that's going to be our next viral reel, hopefully, in the next couple of days.
So this is super interesting here, Braden. Gavin's tried to say something after he's put this chip in, and I have seen him struggling a little bit with this because he mainly speaks Chinese. I'm unsure if he's intended to limp here. he said something and there was clarification. He's either intentionally limped or he's tried to raise here, which is definitely possible. And regardless, it looks like it's going to be a nice day for him. I don't think Yun is going to continue with the open-ender when a lot of his straight outs are dead to the flush. Quan might have a slightly more interesting decision, but I think both are just going to find the fault here. Limping's actually not a bad strategy for Gavin broadly here, because Vincent is the short stack and he's got Vincent covered. So he's not looking to play massive pots either. Like, limping's actually quite a legitimate strategy if that is what he intended to do.
I think, you know, what are you thinking about when you're starting to construct limps around that 30 big blind range when both of the small and big blind cover us?
As I said, Quan's not giving up. But yes, pre-flop, it's definitely not something you would expect to be doing without ICM most of the time. You'll see a lot of sort of more what I would say old school pros, and you might hate me for throwing him into this bracket, but Handheld would be one of those guys who you would expect to just start busting out the limps even before ICM starts to take it into play. And that's just part of their style and their strategy. There's other pros on the tour. You probably played with Josh McSweeney, who likes to, you know, be like the Dominic Nietzsche of Australian poker. He just limps or opens massive with like 3.5 or 4x. So there's some different types of limping strategies that people try to execute. It is essentially what oh, wow.
That comes with lead.
Wow, Guangzhou. That is an impressive lead to get one of the short stacks off their hand on a board where he's not going to contain too many hearts and be quite ace-x heavy. But it's also important to note that Gavin's not just going to call off the ace there. They've clearly, I would say these two players would have played more with each other than anyone else left remaining on this table. Gavin and Quan, they're commonly playing cash together after hours at very big stakes. They travel around, and that's clearly a function of Quan knowing his man. Third most successful Chinese player of all time.
That is crazy. Who would be top two off the top of your head? Would you know?
That's a good question. I would imagine number one is Aaron Zhang, who won the Triton main event against the £1 million buy-in that Sosia actually played in as well. He beat Bryn Kenny heads up after they did a deal, and I think he got like more than S. Fandiari did for the one drop. I think he got like 18 million or something like that. So he would be number one. I don't know who number two is off the top of my list. Quan is number three, and then we actually had I think we had number four coming. He had to pull out last moment, but Ding Biao, who's also won a Triton, and Chen Dong, who's actually here, part of the team as well, was part of the State of Origin team. He just won the 10K 6-max in the Bahamas at WSOP Paradise, which is a really prestigious tournament. So I think he's in the top 10 as well. Wow, oh my goodness. We've got both players flopping trips here, and it's very hard to imagine on a two-tone board that this won't find its way in somehow at these stack depths. But let's see what happens. I would expect a bet check raise most of the time. It's going to be interesting mainly to see how Sosia proceeds. She'll be aware of the fact that Yun is the chip leader. He's going for it. Maybe
more reasons to come with call?
Yeah, exactly. That would be these are the reasons that we're looking for when we're considering call. I think she can do both, quite frankly. But yeah, in this configuration where Yun will likely be check folding most of the time to a check raise, let's let him pick up diamonds, for example, and let him keep barreling and barrel us off a 9 when we have 9x in our range, and that's going to be the type of hand that will not want to withstand a lot of pressure, and we would expect you to be putting a lot of pressure on us when we are the closest stack to
make your way back to your final table, please. This is your 1 minute
probably
call.
one of the bottom of his opens here, is licking his lips, but he might be finding out the bad news. Of course, those outs do include chop outs at the top of our screen, but really Yun Kang dead to a 7, 9 and 3 will chop.
Going for 300 on the turn here. That's about what I expect.
We still come with call for Sosia, double flush draw now.
Oh no, look what's happening in the comments.
Angel.
I knew this would happen. I say one thing in my whole life, and he's just there. It's like when he's on the table with me. He's just a vulture. He just takes every spot when he sees the live read.
That is so funny.
And Hilkian calling me up on calling you an old school pro. I'm sorry.
I think Sosia comes with call yet again, and we'll see a river.
I think the other factor is that aside from just sort of being trappy is what a lot of people would expect here right now is that, oh my goodness.
This did not just happen.
My goodness,
Keep in mind, Didier, this is a club. Front door flush draw gets in.
Yeah, she might not lose it all. I don't know if he's going to go for all of it anyway, but what I was going to say is that Sosia is not just trapping up to the turn here. She is actually a little bit scared of hands like Ace Jack 9s and King Jack because of the fact that she doesn't want to stack off. Like, there's not a lot of value for her in, how do I put this? Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of value in doubling up, but preserving her life at the moment is almost the more critical function. So it's this sort of spot where you're very happy with your hand, but if Yun jams here, oh my goodness.
What size do you think you'd be coming with here in this spot,
It's
SBR?
super interesting because, like,
1.4.
what is Sosia's call range against different things? Like, a 9 might just fold to every single size here, so it might be correct for him to just jam and try and target
We do have a
the
size
flushes.
incoming. He's gone for 1.1.
Okay, so he's sort of doing that thing that I described earlier when we were looking at the size he picked against Gavin, where he went like 1.2 against a 1.5 stack.
Snapped off
You're
by
getting snapped.
Sosia.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just
That
going to
is
see the bad
brutal.
news.
And it's a massive hand for Vincent as well, more than anyone else here. Almost more than you, I would say. It's a bigger hand for Vincent.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Oh
even in
my.
the hand because now he is very comfortable off nearly 30 bigs to get into the money. And I think Sosia's got 10. Sorry, less 6.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And Vincent is, 29 bigs deep. He's, oh wow, he's 5 exo stack. And it's going to make this situation for Yun even more exponential than what it was. Until she busts, he can probably open every hand right now.
We saw Yoon go with, remember when we had the King's hand on that 10 high board versus Gavin. He went for a size that left Gavin with 3 or 4 bigs behind on the river. That information would have been to the table by then. He uses the same size here. He's had it both times. The first time that wasn't paid, Sosia snaps this one off. There's nothing else you can do there, is there, Didier?
No, I mean, Yun will be going wider than most with the configuration of knowing the pressure that he can put on her. It's not really a... Sorry, the comments coming through.
You know what? I have no sympathy. If you want to call someone an old school pro, you're going to have to live with it.
Yeah.
There's consequences.
I wouldn't be surprised if he only limps now when we're at the table. Like, it was going from he would only do it when I'm at the table, now he'll pure do it when I'm at the table. I guess my response has to be more of a question. Have you ever seen Gary Lynn limp? Anhel, question mark. Moving along. Vincent's going to be very much in set mine or fold territory here. Decent flop for old Gaza. Oh, sorry, Yun, my bad. I thought Gary would have been this. If things weren't already going well for Yun here.
Of course. Mega late reg strat, 25 big blinds he came in with. And a
spin.
And that is an all-time spin, but of course, Didier, you did... Vincent's cutting out something. Probably just retaking how much he has behind. As you did mention, Didier, Yoon was the one that stone bubbled this event last year. Not really a stone bubble.
Yeah,
actually
it was like a break-even bubble in a way. It was a very unique setup where Ninth was getting their money back.
Memory, being in the room at the time, was there some type of crazy way that played out? Or am I wrong?
There was some controversy with a certain player trying to buy into a different event who was accidentally sat in the 25K. So there was consideration given by the staff to the players in the event. That was the correct thing to do. Not that that player played for a particularly long time in the event. You'll notice that some of the biggest operators in the world, WSOP, ARIA, these things have actually happened in very big super high roller buy-ins, and it's been more of a controversial thing because the player was in the event until, say, the final table. Luckily, it was picked up quite quickly, and the event organizers were still kind enough to compensate, in this case, you in that capacity. But it also really compensates all of the players who made the final table to make it a bit nicer, knowing that 9 are essentially in the money. So I'd credit the operator for trying to help us in that instance. And
that one I did know, Didier. I was just talking about maybe it was a hand that got Didier, that got the that Yun to stone bubble. I wasn't bringing that one up specifically, but
sorry.
I'm not sure if you remember or aware that. I feel like there was some type of crazy shenanigans occurred in a really big pot that caused Yun to stone bubble, but not stone bubbling that 25, getting that 25k entry. As we have mentioned multiple times, of course, Yun, that incredibly unfortunate bust out 2 off the money in the 15k.
Yeah, I can't quite remember what happened 9-handed in the 25k, admittedly.
Yeah. I remember a story from years ago. A man in the Aria 200k, I believe.
Yeah, this is the one I was thinking of.
Okay,
I think he busted Jason Mercier and a couple of other pros on the way. Ooh, this is a kind of spicy one. Yun's open and Sosia is just running the King 5 suited. This is a spot where I trust Sosia a lot more than myself, if I'm actually very honest. So, I mean, she's probably aware of the fact that Yun is opening any 2 with her configuration. She just wants to run her equity against that. Because she's sort of giving herself the opportunity to win more chips than if she's just open jamming. But it looks like Gary's got a decision here, and he's going to know that she doesn't have very much. So when Gary's cards are exposed here, I'm going to expect to see something that at least wants to call every time, if I'm quite honest. I'd be very surprised if we were asked for a count and Gary doesn't have something somewhat significant to think about with. Yeah, and there you go. Jacks. So Vincent's folds 6s as well, which is a pretty easy fold in this setup, but Gary is going to use a time chip to figure out how exactly he wants to proceed with Jacks here. Does he want to just flat and let Yun in to go 3-way and try to bust Sosia and end the bubble? Or does he want to just try and take down the dead money now with Jacks and, you know, just get heads up with her?
What are we more inclined to do here? 40 effective, obviously covered by Yun. What are we thinking?
I wouldn't be surprised if Gary clicks it. I think he's probably going to find the plus 200, like the 495 kind of size.
I literally think that is exactly what is about to occur.
Yeah, there you go. He doesn't need to make it any bigger than a min raise to just sort of expect Yun to play pretty face up when
to be about 600.
Yeah, it's a little bigger than I expected.
Right, but players, we do have an all-in call in our TLPT.
Look, you know, in terms of what Sosia can do with her stack here, look, she's getting more than the 2x if she gets it through. It's sort of unfortunate she runs into it. Yun probably would have called off anyway.
Sosia is at risk.
And yeah, it's a big hand right now for this entire final table. No one's rooting for a king other than Sosia, given that she is the short stack.
Spade in the wind.
Oh, Jack,
no
6, 10.
way.
That is the TV flop, Brayden. All of set against a flop flush.
Gary Lynn's not going to know that every other out is folded.
Wow.
Where it's going to be a 10 or a 10 only. There is no jacks or 6s left in the deck.
Vincent folded 6s, but now the 8 becomes live. And Vincent's just told Gary. You can see that he's been told.
Hold.
Hard to find the boat now. Almost impossible, right?
6 outs once. It's a $71,000 hand for everyone at the table.
And
it's
Sosia
not there.
Queen. Sosia does
And
get
she's
the
going to
full
have a
double
somewhat
up.
playable stack here
Yeah,
now,
up to
Brayden.
800k.
Yeah, we're what, 16 bigs now?
Yeah.
Vincent, look at the look on his face, being a respectable professional and keeping it all in internally. He may feel like he just lost 77 grand.
It may be a spot that ordinarily you wouldn't lose that in, but fortune favours the brave as Sosia wants to see 5 cards with King 5 suited.
Just like nearly
So we might just tune in and have a listen to
take it from you, but
Sosia there.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine for you to protect me, you know.
That was sincere. After when I said the first thing, the second one was sincere.
Huh? Thank you, I appreciate it.
There we go. Gary Lynn taking it all in his stride there. As that may well have been the final hand before the break. I think as we will be going on a 15-minute break. They're going to lament that $71,000 hand for 15 minutes, and we'll be back in business. But for now, Didier, can't thank you enough for the last 2 hours. You've been incredible. The feedback's been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
No, thank you so much, Braden. I think you're doing a fantastic job in the booth. I'm looking forward to see how this plays out, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the chat, including the old school pros, will be looking forward to it as well.
Thank you so much. Join us back in 15 minutes where we'll play down to the money here at the $25,000 event. Angel, you can tune in after the break because Didier won't be here, and I hope we see everyone else as well. We'll see you soon.
Ciao.
at least one level? Because then people bust really quickly. Is it possible? Yeah. Yeah.
So we are back here, bringing you cards up coverage of the $25,000 Tlpt International Super High Roller. $330,000 up top. We are on the stone bubble, so don't go anywhere.
$790.
Of course, we were all in and at risk. Sosia, King 5 suited versus the pocket jacks, flipping a flush. Couldn't find the repeat, could Gary Lynn, and we still remain six-handed. Yun Kang, Melbourne local, has all the chips, of course. Who could forget, as Didier let us know in the commentary box. What a 2 hours that was, listening to Didier, just listening to him talk about poker and life all day. As we are going to have another guest for the next 60 minutes, and we might be having a bit of fun here. We'll introduce, we've gone from Didier to the recent Centurion winner at the APL Millions for $200,000. Stoked to be joined in the commentary booth by Dean Schneider. Welcome, Dean.
How we doing, everyone?
We're glad to have you in here. We'll get you in for the next hour. Sounds about good.
Sounds about right, mate.
All right, so we are on the stone bubble here, Dean. I'm not sure if you're aware, but we have a 3x bubble. So the next player out gets 0, and the stone bubble is worth $71,000. Of course, $25,000 buy-in, and you'll know Yun from being a Victorian local. He has all the chips, and
he was unfortunately the one that I got a bit lucky against, so I'm hoping he does all right.
In the Centurion?
Yes, indeed.
How's life been since a $200,000 score?
Well, to be honest, life hasn't changed too much. I mean, you know, you can't get too silly with the money and just go crazy, but look, it's been nice. There's no denying that.
Of course, not many people would know that.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. 9 check and 5 check. Sorry.
Yes.
So it is a pretty significant bubble, being 3 times the buy-in, which changes things a little bit. You do have to think about the ISO implications around it.
It's different when me and Didier spoke. It's different, you know, if we're in a 1,000 run at 1K and the min cash is 3.5K. You know, this is completely different in terms of how we think of things. 3x $71,000 bubble is. Vincent might be looking to get this one to showdown. A little spicy here, Yun calling out of the small blind with Jack 10 versus Vincent's open, but he's looking to play some hands.
I think things could almost bet this for value, but on the bubble, just going to check it again.
Now, not many people will know that we had a little bit of a joke about Didier. Didier called Angel an old school reg, and you might look young, but you are an old school online reg from back in the day, Dino, and obviously use those skills to take down the Centurion for $200,000. How long have you been playing for?
It's been a little bit of a while now. I think, look, I had humble beginnings back in the APL pub days, the ripe-old age of 80. I was introduced to it through my father. So 31 now, 13 years.
13 years at the table, huh? And of course, how many? Did we ever get to Supernova Elite on PokerStars? Were you in that area? No?
Supernova, but never the Black Stars, mate.
Oh, you never got to Elite, huh?
Never the Black Stars.
Is that you're the level under?
Yeah, the level under. Decent rake back, but not quite the creme de la creme.
I mean, people that play online prior to becoming bit harder to play in Australia would know that being a Supernova Elite reg, the amount of volume you would need to put in for even that Supernova level, wouldn't hazard to guess how many millions of hands you would have played to have gotten there.
Yeah, funny story about that. I was at a game recently and the conversation turned to how many royal flushes have you had, or have you ever had a royal flush?
All PLO players, starting go back to your seats, please. This is your 90-second call. All PLO players.
Maybe 7
this is
or
your
8.
90-second call. We're about to
I
commence.
like to think of that as a good reflection of how many hands
You've played,
right?
absolutely.
So if you get one every 650,000-ish hands, right? You've had about 7 or 8. You do the math, Jinxie. You do the math, mate.
Goodness me. So we're looking at well over 4 million. Do you think?
You need to get the calculator out.
No, do you think you've played 5 million hands?
Probably not. I reckon I've run good to snag a couple when I shouldn't. But yeah, no, probably 3 or 4 million. Yeah.
I just realised.
Be able to take us through the next hour. I think we're going to play down to the money and then bag up, but we're not quite sure what we're going to do here. We thought we were going to finish tonight, but it doesn't look like that's the case. We also don't want to be streaming here till 2 a.m. We've got a lot of people watching. A lot of these players, friends and family, and even Australian poker fans there at home watching Yun Kang put on an absolute clinic. 332,250 to the winner, and
Gavin Xu here's opened the Ace-4 suited. Seems like a standard open. Probably a bit tough, and Yun Kang is using his stack to absolute beautiful. Putting in a 3-bet and taking it down.
He's used the King 10-0. It's the third time I've seen him use it. Obviously, he's going to be using it other hands as well, but he just keeps getting that King 10 off. Would you look to call if you had King 10 suited there, Dino, or just keep the foot to the floor?
Too many good blocker value, great hand. King 10, you don't really want to flat, you don't want to invite other people in. Get them out of the way. Take it down. The thing is, the pressure's so high right now, right? 3x cash. You don't want to bust now. You want that next position, right? Realistically, the players that are shorter should be playing really tight, right? Expecting Yun Kang to just apply pressure. It's the right thing to do.
Of course, Yun. It's going to be a viral. Reel. We'll put that out later tomorrow. Ran one of the most incredible bluffs versus Kahle Burns. Check raise flop. Went 3 massive streets versus Kahle, getting Kahle to fold the better hand.
On the river?
It was a Kahle raise under the gun and Yun defended Ace-4. Jack 2 check. Kahle c-bets pocket 9s. Yun check raises. Kahle calls.
Spicy.
Turn is a 3, so we've picked up a gutter.
Have to continue.
Continues. Yun bombs the turn. Kahle calls. Now River Queen, which was in the booth with Didier, and he correctly deciphered that there was some club and suit interaction as well. Obviously, we're not going to get the hand right retelling it, but the Queen on the River interacted with a lot of Yun's bluffs. You know, there's backdoor Queen X bluffs that we had. So Yun was able to identify that he could have some queens here. Decided to go close to just leave a size that didn't put Kahle all in, but would have left him incredibly short. And got the fold from Kahle for pocket 9s, but as he folds the 9s, and I think during the hand, Kahle looked over at Yun multiple times. It was one of those spots where it felt like he knew he was being had, but just couldn't put it in.
There's 2 things like that in poker, right? When you have the idea, and then you have the
execution,
cojones to execute what you think, right? And that's a huge thing in poker. Trusting yourself and trusting your read. You know, there's so many times when you're playing a hand and you're looking at it and you go, I feel this, and then you think wrong, and it's really hard to actually trust and believe yourself, which is one of the most important things in poker.
I like that. I like saying think long, think wrong. Usually our first intuition is likely right.
Trust the gut.
Trust the gut. Trust the gutters.
Well, we get back to the action. Quan Zhu made a very nice 3-bet for Shankun, which is good. Some people go into their shell a bit, playing against the big stack when they're the second stack. But if you're clever about it, you can really attack that because their range is meant to be wider.
Sosia finds the jam here with Jack 10 suited and...
This is a 10 and a bit.
No, six big blinds. So she's... Oh no, my apologies, it is 10 big blinds. Apologies, Dean, I thought it was 100k, but...
A brave one here from the cutoff. There's a couple players behind, but I love it.
10 seconds.
It's going to get this one through as a bit of Hollywood here from Onzu, who doesn't want Sosia really to know how light he was there, but still around the 15 big blind mark. Back, Sosia was down to just 4 big blinds right before the break. Got that double up. Sosia jammed the King 5 suited, King 5 of spades, Dino, and Gary Lee Paul with jacks, and guess the flop, King 5 of spades versus jacks. Give me, use your imagination.
Well, look, the way I think about poker hands is any hand can flop courts, mate.
No, it was Vincent folded 6s in that hand, but Sosia, it was Jack 10-6, spade.
No pairs.
And all of the repeats were dead because our outs, you'll see when we have an all-in confrontation, Dean, you'll see in the top right-hand corner, we count the folded outs, which of Gary had basically none, so you thought he would have had 10 outs twice, 10 outs on the river. We got that 8 on the turn, but no 6s or 10s left in the deck, and
look, it's never easy, Brandon.
It's never easy to find that repeat.
Always make them sweat. We love it. That's what we love poker for. People sweating, people in tough spots. That's the game.
I'm interested to see, I didn't think you'd be here, Dean, obviously winning that $200,000 at the Centurion, looking to play a little bit more from now until the end of the year?
Look, to be honest, the only reason I'm here is because I won that, mate. It gave me the freedom to go out and give it another try, It's tough to get away and play these series. Coming from Melbourne, there's not a lot of games around, so, you get out where you can. And, obviously I love the game. Been in it for 13 years. When the game's on, if I can get there...
You'll be there.
I'll be there, mate.
Glad to hear it as Sosia still short stack around that 15 big blind mark. Vincent finds the Queen Jack suited open here from the hijack. We'll be looking to defend here by Quan Zhao.
Check, free check.
Bicey here, Vincent working with the backdoor hearts. Could find a check on this board. Josh, we will be bagging when we're in the money. So the next player out, we will be off to day 3 and we'll come back for the official ITM final table. So we will be with you. We'll bring you the coverage from now until the next player has busted. And once that player is out, we will bag up and we'll come back for the final table of the 25k ITM Tlpt International High Roll.
5 players looking to bag a significant portion of money.
Yeah, $71,000. Dino is.
Even the min cash, alright, eh?
It's, I mean, and it's. I know Yun is likely not going to be the one that bubbles here, but just our viewers will know. But I'll just keep you in the loop that Yun bubbled this event last year, and he got an entry into this event this year.
Oh, so from that bubble.
From that bubble. So this is basically like a, I don't know what you call that, a 71,000x bubble, or?
well, Braden, I'll let you in on a little secret. I ran into Yun out in the smokers.
Okay.
And I went up to him and I gave him the little apology because I hit the 1-outer on the final table in the Centurion versus him, and I said, mate, you deserve to win this one on me. And he goes, thank you. I have a pile.
He does.
And he's playing very well.
Oh, he's playing incredible.
You can see the talent there.
Yeah, I've mentioned multiple times as Gavin's just going to rip 20 here with the Ace King. Thoughts?
Honestly, with the ICM, don't hate it.
Okay, yeah.
Don't mind it at all.
Okay.
It's such a big pay jump, 3x, so just put it in. It can never be wrong.
Absolutely, love that.
Do you really want to raise and induce and have to run it? No. Especially with Sosia being on 13 bigs. You just want to get it in, you don't have to look at that.
You can do it.
So, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, is that probably the most amount of big blinds we'd look to jam there? Maybe 22, 23?
It's funny, when you get to this sort of point in time, it kind of, with a 3x min cash, becomes almost satellite like. Do you know what I mean? It's more important to get
Shove
that
wide,
next.
call tight.
Yeah, it becomes more important to get to that next jump than doubling up. Right? Get that first, then go for chips.
Love that. Now, if I was to look to run into you or Yun, it would definitely be in the smokers area. So interesting to hear that you run into Yun in the smokers.
You know, well, outside getting fresh air. Either way, I don't condone smoking, but you know, a breath of fresh air is always nice, mate. Keep the head clear.
Of course. Now, I've given you a little bit of a bump steer, Josh, at Poker Media Australia. We are going to bag up at the end of level 21 no matter what. So that's going to be about an hour and 20 minutes from now. So we're going to bring you that coverage till around the 1:30 a.m.-ish mark. And I believe that's going to be regardless of if we lose anyone or not. So I think we're going to be bagging. We're going to be bagging at the end of level 21. As love seeing you in the chat, Troy McLean, all the way in Taipei.
Troy, you wouldn't mind some of that.
Yeah, there is a running joke there. Is a bit of a running joke there. Troy and the boys want us to bring down the strat talk a little bit, but we are here to commentate and bring the coverage to the players. And Troy, I think you could sit here and watch some of the 6 of the best players left in Australia and learn a thing or two.
All right, so Gary Lynskey on the small blind. What's he sitting on? 25 bigs. It depends how much the big one is. Similar stacks. So yeah, I don't mind a limp here. Look to see a flop. You don't really want to go too wild with a 6 high. You're going to get checked back a lot. They're both scared, right, with the bubble just about to burst. Let's see a flop.
Do we ever find some raises here with this specific hand, Dino, you reckon?
Occasionally, but I prefer to do it with a suited hand. just because it has more playability post-flop. You're going to get a lip in the check a lot.
Get a snap in from Gavin. Queen high could be there.
Yeah, I love the lead. Yeah, on these sort of boards, both of you are just so airy, so a little lead works well often. But you've got to balance it out by limping a lot of other hands too, right? You want to limp a lot of hands that have great playability versus big blind, a lot of like 10-9s, Jack-10s, King-9s, King-8s, those sorts of hands that do really well post versus the big blinds 100% range. So Sosia is starting to get a bit short again. Everybody should be taking note to that. She's on about 12 to 13-ish bigs. That will really limit those middle stacks and allow Yun to really take advantage. So we'll see how that plays out. Gavin's got to be careful here versus Yun in the big blind. You should really be almost over-folding here in the small blind, just because the other player having about 11, 12 bigs, you're just going to get punished. You're just going to get punished so hard.
And look at that man in the hoodie. You just know that it's coming, don't you?
Mate. Like, the jam range here, I mean, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but it's high.
I think he has settled in. As I'm not. The players.
Brian.
Okay, we just need to get a ruling here. We might just tune into the table and see what's occurred.
Really?
He took away like the 5K.
Yeah, he took away the 5K and then added the.
Yeah.
你是这个25000拿回来了吗？
不，他把5000拿回来了，因为是3万嘛。
哦。This 这样，完了又扔了这个。对 raise。
Yeah, that's definitely a raise.
这是2个动作，一个拿回来的动作，然后再 raise。
Take a 5,000 first and then put the 10 100K.
I thought he didn't take anything back.
Huh?
I thought he didn't take anything back.
Yeah, it's because small blind is 30. Yeah.
要是2万就算raise。
第六还是第7？ 行，可以，7000可以。2200我7000打了，挺好的。
他来这花了好像要20万的话，15万。
然后7000，这有没交代？
他好玩，我都花5万了。
We aren't sure what occurred there, but Yun did have a hand in which he could raise or jam with ace 10, but it looked like.
然后
I think you just rolled.
No, but they saw a flop. So something occurred and we got a ruling, but we'll move on. How's things going over in Taipei? Of course, Troy McLean over there in the main event with Bert and Dylan. Dylan Wayne bagging the chip lead in the APT Taipei main event.
How about that?
A couple $1 million up top there.
We love the Aussies doing well.
We do. Yidu Chung taking out a single day high roller last night for 88,000, 91,000 AUD. As right, so absolutely going to confirm that we will be here with you at the end of level 21. So if you are watching on the stream in Australian Eastern Standard Time, our coverage will finish up at about 1:30, maybe 1:35, and that is regardless as if we lose a player or not. So originally the plan was to play through to the money bubble, but we are going to play through the end of level 21. And if you are watching the stream, if you're here with us about 1:30, it's when we'll be finishing up. No matter what, if we are in the money or not, or if we play down to a winner, and the likelihood of that is next to 0.
Gary Lynn's found a real hand in the cutoff. A couple of 9s, definitely suitable for a raise. It'll be interesting how Kwan Zhu plays this. He's going to play the flat, not going to put too much pressure on, I think.
See 3 raise.
No, he's put the 3 bet in here.
385.
I like it, I like it. The ace blocker there, playing a lot of weight. Putting pressure on Gary Lynn because there's a shorter stack there, so he's in that spot where he really doesn't want to play for it all because he wants that money. He's been paying enough attention though. I think 9s are just too strong. We'll see what he does.
What are we feeling here? Coming with call?
No way. I think Kwan Zhu just has way too many like 3-bet bluffs at such a good spot. You don't really want to flat. Flatting's really tough because over 50% of the time you're going to get a card that's too high. And if you've been paying enough attention, 9s are too strong cutoff for this big blind. Kwan Zhu has been doing the right stuff, playing his second in chips.
He showed that. He showed that one to the rail.
Mm-hmm. It's hard though, right? You're sitting there, you know, you're not the shortest stack. Somebody's sitting there with like 10 bigs, you have 9s, and you don't want to bust and get $0 when there's 75k for the next person going in.
It's pretty crazy. What's the bottom we think we're starting to rejam there?
4-bet all in? In that spot?
Yeah. I mean, we've got to start thinking about it with 10s, right? Maybe jacks. Well, jacks for sure. But I mean, the ICM spot is so complicated. What are we thinking?
I mean, I'm gonna answer with a bit of a cop-out, but it depends. And that's
it's
the way
not really a cop-out. It's the way that it is.
That's the way poker is. It always depends, right? Reads. These guys have been playing with each other for what? 2 days now, right? 2 days. So
2 full days.
Yeah. So you got to pick up reads along the way. You got to know who you're playing and what they're capable of, right? 9's just too strong. Cutoff is big. Yeah. Look, I don't think I'm ever folding there. I'm definitely whacking it in.
You're whacking it in.
Expecting a fold a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And you know, if they're bladed, they're just bladed, man. Like, you can't play monsters under the bed poker.
No, absolutely not. As just getting confirmation on that ruling, it appeared as if Gavin had a 5k and a 25k chip out. He removed the 5k and put in 100k with no announcement. So the discussion was if that was a raise or a call, and it must have got ruled raise as Yun. We saw a flop and Yun had ace 10. Would have expected him to put that one in. So.
Oh, that too close.
Okay, so it was ruled a call. That's really interesting. And I think maybe Yun has just decided, out of fairness, to check that one down. Potentially.
Well, the single chip is always a call, but I'm a bit bemused about the removal because you know when you remove a blind,
it's a raise.
It changes something, right?
I think it should be a raise if you remove. Maybe I'm not sure.
But look, each organisation has different rules, so in fairness of honesty, who knows, right? We'd like to see Yun raising it up again with the A6, continuing aggression. That's what you need to do as the chip leader. Put pressure on. It's your spot, your tournament to win. Everybody else has to just sit back and really take it. That's just the way it works. I mean, not quite $200,000. Look, 5 left in the Centurion. Yun opens under the gun off 18 bigs. I'm in the cutoff with queens. I 3-bet. Didier tanks for a significant amount of time and folds to ace queen. We saw that only back on the stream, did not know it at the time, and Yun obviously piles, and I call it off and he has kings. But you know what? You know what was there right in the window of the house? The lady we all want, at least me and my rail wanted to see, Brayden. If you ever want to hit a one outer, it's when there's 5 left in a big tournament, mate. I'll tell you that much. So we got down to about 3 left, and it was me, Didier, and Jonathan Levy. We sort of looked at each other and we went, let's lock something up, you know. We're all solid players, and the blinds were going up, you know. Any hand could have gone any way. Before you know it, you know, the chip leader could have been 30 chips. And it just made sense to me. So I locked it up and made a deal for first place prize money, and that's all she wrote. The rest is history, mate. We had a lot of money coming back to Melbourne with Armin as well. Yep. Over 700, wasn't it? 3 rows. Yeah, beautiful. Send the money down to Melbourne. We've had it rough. We've had it rough lately.
4 folds, 5 folds.
As Yun, monstrous chip lead here. Rightio, as we take you into the last hour of coverage here.
Gary Lynn's decided to open here with the Queen 10. It's an interesting spot because your hand's really strong, but you really don't want to get blown off your equity with the Queen 10 of clubs here. You're sitting on approximately 20 bigs with the big stack and the big blind, right? So you don't necessarily want to just get like jammed on, which is going to happen a lot. And so the way I play that spot is I just jam. Think about it like a satellite, right? The big stacks are going to punish you. You're going to get in bad spots. Right?
Forget call with so much equity as well, Queen 10 suited.
Yeah, but how often is he going to call rather than jam?
I mean, basically never, right?
Yeah, the perfect spot to just exploit. Yun's good enough to do it every time.
Yeah, of course, we're actually incentivized, as you said, to just keep this going.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if Gary's got 2, 3 big ones there, are we calling?
Well, think about it like this: if you're Yun and you got 9-7 offsuit, put it in, what's he gonna do?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I probably would do with 9-7 off, but like, any ace, right?
Which is what he's come up with. Ace 9 off.
But we've been watching that over and over and over again, right?
It's been a masterclass from the Melburnian, Yun Kang.
Exactly the playbook out of the big stack. So Gavin, you here, King 8 might be an open off like 50 bigs when we're 9-7 not playing with IC pressure, I just fold here.
I don't think you know much about what Gavin has been up to in the last couple of hours. This is a
enlighten me, Brayden. Enlighten me.
This is a primo. This is a premium holding.
King 8 off with you. Lovely fold. Contrary to popular jinxie belief.
This Yun now
this
has
is the
another
nuts.
real hand.
This is the nuts BBB.
Well, he's in second in chips in the big blind, so let's see how Yun proceeds.
Oh, he's got second next. Yeah, okay. Option does change things. I like the limp. In this spot, you don't really want to get involved in a big pot. He's been doing enough, just exploiting the shorties. Limp, let's play a hand.
Ooh, a little bit of spice there for Wanju.
And Yun's going to think he has the best hand a lot here. Right? Even though Guan Zhu has 100% range, right?
Have a
he
look
has
at
every
that.
four, but there's also a lot of hands that do not have a four, right? There's all the 7-3, 7-2, King 5, all that sort of stuff there, man.
Start putting in chips now, surely, if we're Xu. You're going to have the best hand here often enough.
Yeah, I think you can go min-bet, just because you want to do this sometimes with Jack 10, 10, 9, 5, 6, 5, 7, all those gutters and flush draws, right? You don't need to go big, and you're protected. You're really protected with 8-4.
More chips are going to go in here on the river as Yun, an incredibly disguised top pair, but Xu just has it.
In this spot.
How big are we going, Dean?
Well, huge, right? Yun, very, very likely check calling on the turn, has an ace. Right, the way you play this hand, he has an ace, a queen, and an 8. Right, so if we're bluffing with 5-7, 5-6, Jack 10, 10, 9, we want to go big. So I'm going massive. I'm betting 500, 600k. Sounds crazy, but that sounds about right to me. And the ace will call a lot.
Xu, of course, third on the all-time money list for China. $10 million USD and overbets the pot. We're seeing why. And look at this. Yun automatically...
He's going to really struggle to fold here.
Look at this. Look how talented Yun Kang is at No Limit Hold'em. He just knows something's up here. It's incredible instincts. He knows that he's obviously never folding, but I think this is just a cry inside call. Yun knew there. You knew there. Love your insight. Dean Schneider, of course, Centurion winner, and basically predicting every single street of that hand. Pretty incredible there that Yun was able to, I mean, he did call, but basically sniff out that something was up there with that overbet on the river.
Well, you're either ahead or he has the 4, right? He's never gone that big without either a bluff or a strong hand. So in those sort of situations, whenever you bet in river spots, you don't want to make the decision easy, right? You bet a quarter pot, he snap calls an ace, no dramas, right? You want to put him in a spot where he goes, what am I going to do? That's how you bet it.
Having a Yun moment.
As we see, we love our interaction here with the chat. It's been popping off at certain times throughout the week, but love seeing you here, Travis Endersby. Of course, second place getter in the 15K TLPT main event. And if you ever want to watch, if you want free poker lessons, you can just go to twitch.tv/this is a Travis T, and he streams regularly over there on ACR. And congratulations to you. Pretty incredible. Second in the, you must be some type of, you must have some type of sickness, Trav, because 15K score, 15K main event score for $200,000, and immediately mega late reg the $250 WARNE bounty and come second again.
What a gun.
That's just
Travis
something
making
else.
waves in the seat, eh?
Unbelievable. Over $1 million USD. for Travis Endersby in the last 12 months.
But this 25k is not what else is on this weekend. What else do we have?
Pretty stacked lineup over the next couple of days. Would be remiss of us to mention our $200,000 guaranteed main event. It's really, really different when we talk about estimates, or if we have no estimates or guarantees on any tournament. Putting ourselves out there, guaranteeing $200,000 for the APT Super Series main event. Our Flight E is on Friday, which is tomorrow at 6 p.m. And don't forget, if you're not interested in sitting with all these guns at 100 and 150 big blind stacks, you can register at the Turbo Flight on Saturday at 7 p.m. Late registration till 10 p.m. Saturday night and 10:45 on Friday. Adding on to that main event, we've got another guarantee so important for live tournament poker here in Australia, as we have the $50,000 guaranteed mini main event. Lots of value there, I believe, if you want to get down and spend $250 for a $50,000 guaranteed main.
That's the great thing about the APT. We've got blinds from playing situations.
And guaranteeing the money as well. No matter what happens, we're going to be paying out $50,000.
I mean, you're sitting here railing a 25k blind, but if you got $200, you want to come down and make some money, we'll give it a crack at least.
Yeah.
Jump in, play the game.
Absolutely.
Give it a crack.
Absolutely.
Maybe you get a pair of aces and have some fun.
I saw you out in the PLO. A little bit of a lower buy-in for you, mate. Was that?
You know, got to have a pump when the time's right. Jinxie.
And don't worry about. You would have seen plenty of promo for this event the last couple of days. Our new event here called the Empress. That is a women's only event. We're guaranteeing 10k there. That's 5:30 on a Friday, and the amount of females I've seen in the room here, that guarantee should be well and truly obliterated. Going to be hard to get past APT ambassadors Jade Mitchell and Shelley Pooley, and Jade can add that Empress trophy to her ever-growing trophy cabinet. Unsure how many APT trophies she's got, but Jade Mitchell's the one there to get past in the Empress, the first ever running of that event, the women's 10k guarantee Friday, tomorrow, $250,000, goodness gracious me, $250 buy-in, and if you don't want to get here at 5:30, a little bit of traffic around there and whatnot, there is a 9 p.m. late and call confrontation here. Sosia is going to put the last $275,000 in his pocket eights. Gary calls it ace queen. Now,
and girls, as just stated.
What?
Clubs, 3 spades, 8 of clubs, 7
there's
spades.
one out here for Sosia.
Sometimes it comes.
我会数。
It's a king on the turn.
Just 2% left.
98% of the time, we're going to be in the money. A $75,000 river coming up. And Sosia Jiang is eliminated in 6th place. We are in the money here at the $25,000
only go up to past end of level 21. That's it.
International
That's
event. That was a $71,000 flip. Dean Schneider, how would they be feeling?
Amazing, yeah.
I reckon pretty good, man. $50,000 minimum guaranteed, and you know what? We've got the rest to play for.
320k up top as Sosia of course, a little fortunate previously before we went into the break with that King 5 of spades versus Gary Lynch Jacks, but he's got that back with interest. We are in the money here at the 25k TLPT high roller, and Yun Kang probably doesn't really, he's probably the only person that's not happy to obtain $71,000 to the bank account, but now it's time to win.
Yeah, look, even though the bubble has burst, there are still significant payouts along the way, right? So just because we've got past that mark, you know, the big stack can still apply pressure because every play that goes out means more money for the other people. And that's important, right? We all like money.
没有包袱了，没有包袱了，马上看这身上的大石头。
But now it's time for those guys, you know, we're in the money, let's have a go, let's gamble, let's loosen up a little bit and try and shoot for the stars.
Oh, sure.
手牌是 bluff 4-4小，
格牌 A，
格牌 A 可能是他的范围，或者 A 是他的范围，就不算应该有范围了。
Well, I mean, I don't know what to say, mate. It's all over Red Rover. But yeah, it does change the game a bit now. Like those two shorter stacks, you know, they're about the same. Time to push, time to stop letting the big stacks just push you around. Time to shoot for it, time to get it in.
结果没成想，一翻，我一猜他有4，那没成想是4。
And you can see the VPRP, it's reflected in how they've played. Yun Kang has been the most active by far, and so he should. He's played this final table so well so far. Now let's see what the short stacks can do.
我以为你要补马呢，我。你跟你旁边人换一下不好了。来。He gave you free chips.
那可以说中文的。
2024 Braden. Bubble person.
投降了，投降了，投降了。
Interesting spot. You can play that both as a flat and a jam. Depends on Kwanzaa and how often they raise. You see now off 20 bigs. It plays really well versus white. But also, you can just deny a lot of equity by 3-bit jamming it all in. So I think a mix of jamming and calling is the right play, and he's elected for the jam this time. Yeah, I think I like that strategy, Brad.
哎，闲得多呀！
都换成5000的吧，更多，换成5000。
Yeah, we'll tighten up a little bit definitely because the pressure's off. I mean, as I said, there's still pay jumps, but it's always nicer going home with, you know, a bit of cash on the backside. So it's good.
打把 Voco 给大马。
找你。
哎呀。
找里头。
So now that we're in the money, I like being a little bit more attractive. I mean, it can never be wrong, right? It can never be wrong. It's definitely.
他们知道你把把握一啥的。
Yeah. I mean, yeah, correct. But with the way Yun Kang's played, you know, you can be a little bit more tricky. You can play some memes, you can play some small raises, you can do some other stuff. But yeah, just don't fold.
Just don't fold this. Yun Kang pitches the Jack 4 suited there, and
你可以看直播，我绝对落后的。
Vincent, of course, New Zealand home now, is on the Australian all-time money list. his exploits more known online.
Here we go. What?
Okay, hold on, sorry. So at top, it's obviously a misread, and the very rare times we've had a misread is when it's happened that the reader has picked up their previous hand.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Gavin's previous hand was ace queen.
Ain't no way you fought an ace queen O in the button there, brother.
No. That is a misread. We've had it a couple of times, but when that happens, it's just the previous hand hasn't. Seriously, Gavin had ace queen.
Three raise, 180. Something mark up is smart. The way I do it is like no folds.
Kahle da. 大西瓜肉。
你都知道大西瓜是吧？
这一听就
不是
得十年老人了。
新西兰的人都知道。
我10多年前就在北京打。
大西瓜。好又来了吧
40-80. Tough. 40-80.
我也没包袱，啊，没包袱，来还没进圈呢。
Right, Travis, if you do get one of those, just joining us from Twitch, of course you can find us on Twitch, YouTube and Facebook. Facebook is APT Live, YouTube is YouTube and Twitch Australian Poker Tour. Now, Trav, if you do get one of those t-shirts printed, just don't fold, I might purchase one of them, $30, $35.
The other one is every hand has a Voco Brisbane. I like the open here from Gary Lee. You can start playing some opens off the 20. So we're getting a short now. Ones are up 40-80, so things change a little bit. We've got to think about that.
And now we've gone to 40-80. This will be our last level of coverage for tonight. Players will be bagging up at the end of this level no matter what. And we'll be back with you tomorrow with no matter how many plays left. We'll get a time confirmation as to what we, as to how we come back and what time we come back and how many players. But we are playing through to the end of this level, so 45 minutes from now. Don't go anywhere. Braden Jinx and Dean Schneider, APL Million Centurion winner only 1 month ago for $200,000, going to bring you the action for the rest of the night as Gary Lee opts for small C-bet here on the monotone board.
And I like the peel pre from Vincent. He's sitting on like 14 bigs, but the queen 5 suited is just too strong to fold. You can't really 3-bet jam it, so have a look, peel a flop, got the bite on us, see what happens. Now he's from the queen. Gary Lee's like to go small, which is really good on the monotone flop, just because you have so many hands to just get a check flop. You know, the king deuce of diamonds, for example, right? They're going to peel and fold. Gets interesting on the ace of clubs turn, bringing in the 4 to 8 flush. It's going to scare both players, but as far as ranges go, Vincent is actually slightly more likely to have flushes because he's going to peel more suited hand pre than Gary Lee opens.
What about our size here? We still go, you know, small realm of 1/3 if you decide to bet, or nearly always checking?
It's always a check. Just because he doesn't have to have a flop, right? He's more wedded to peeling suited hands.
这真牌，假就这个牌，AK。
我们都看你牌了。
啊，A6那把，A6那把。
你把 A6你不 AK 吗？
Maybe he has some, right? He has a few, like, you know, those off-suited broadways and stuff like that, but he really shouldn't be peeling like
我们以为我们还比你大。
stuff like that with his stack size, because it should be too hard to play post-flop.
对。
Check, and
原来是假 Q 真
Gary will
牌。
take this one down. Vincent, a right smile there. Unlucky on the turn. Yun raising 25% of hands here on the FT, as you'll see from our pre-flop raise. I would have thought that was on the lower side. Maybe might be up between 30 and 35 of hands that Yun's raised pre. He's very active leading into the money bubble, but it's obviously evened out a little bit now.
Yeah, but the fact that they're playing short-handed too, which will inflate the PIP. When you're playing on an 8, 9-handed table, obviously it's going to trend downwards, but when you're playing shorter-handed, that's going to raise as you're going to be involved in later positions, so it will inflate those numbers. So they have actually been overall considerably high for how long they've been playing the short-handed play.
Vincent here with 11 big blinds. How does he approach this situation?
He's actually the least restricted out of them all.
Yeah.
He plays pure CV. He has 11 bigs, it's the shortest stack. He needs to double up, he wants to get to the next position. So he can just jam what is correct for jamming 11 bigs. When he's playing too many raise folds, I would just be jamming most hands that he would elect to play.
Of course. And also the next pay jump in terms of the way our prizes are distributed, 71,500 for fifth, but only 88,000 for fourth. So less than a buy-in pay jump. So, and then we go third 120k in second 180, of course, 330k up top.
Yeah, so now's the time to spin, right?
Of course.
We're looking at 70k and it goes to 10.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah.
Right? So now's the time to give it a crack. Get it in, build your chips, give yourself a chance to win the tournament. Even Gavin Xu,
yeah.
He should be going for it, right?
Really incentivized to double up and try to win.
Everybody under second.
Zhao?
Zhao, yeah. Zhao, he's more incentivized to just nurse a little bit. And just sit back, wait for the other three to either double, in his opinion, bust.
Absolutely.
His stack's worth like second 30.
It's got to be around, 150k, $60,000 stackers. Gavin, 8-9-0 here for 8-9 and Yun 4-3 offsuit as he slow rolls and shows. I think that Gavin and Yun have had a little bit of fun down in seed 8 and 9.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, take this one. You're playing against two random cards, right? You got a 9 and an 8. If he doesn't have a hand he can call, well, throw it in, run it up, give it a shot.
Always jamming that there for 15-ish.
Well, the thing is, Yun has a big stack and he doesn't really want to do a lot of calling. When you have the big stack, you want to be doing the betting and the raising and the jamming. You don't want to do the calling. Because when you're calling, you have to have the best hand to win. When you're betting and you're raising, you've got two ways to win. Either they fold or you have a better hand, right? Makes all the difference, all the difference. That ties right back into tournament ICM.
Yeah.
Right? 3-bet jamming, got two ways to win the hand. Calling off, you have to have the best hand. It's very important.
Yun opts for call here with the 10-8. We'll see a flop.
So this is a big stack versus big stack. So it's going to be a little bit different to how the rest of them play, right? They're going to play a lot more post flop, sitting there being cautious. Could even see him limping a hand like ace 10, ace jack off in those sort of positions because you don't want to play a big pot. As I said
Probably
earlier,
saw Yun limp the ace 10.
Yeah, correct. Right?
Yeah.
You're sitting there on a second or third, like second flush play stack. Right? You don't want to get into a limp versus him unless you really have it. When you got the duck starts, let's do it, right? It's hard to get that in.
It certainly is, as
they're both playing really well.
What do you think about Vincent's shirt here? He does have it covered, but definitely on the loud side. You can see.
你跟陈东一会儿啊。
I love a bit of colour, mate.
他跟你一会儿，他绝对跟你一会儿。
Gary folds the fours under the gun here off 25.
This is definitely going to be played from the ace front.
他俩喝多了，你跟陈东一会儿不包赢吗？刚刚他跟猫猫喝多了。
One. In the hand. English only, please.
180 seems fine. Don't mind going a little bit bigger with Zhu in the small blind. You want to disincentivize him playing back too much at you, so you can alter your sizing slightly, especially with Huang in the big blind off under 10.
Zhu's taking the chip lead now over Yun. Changes things and basically nearly jamming this always. Dean, thoughts?
Yeah. It's going to be pretty tempted. Yeah, especially with the way the Lynskey are playing. Don't see myself doing anything other than jamming. Got to take the pair. What's the worst hand I jam there? Probably fours if that's right.
Yeah.
Fives plus, fours, fives plus. Threes and deuces, I might even just take a peel and try and hit one. It's just so hard. Especially with a small blind flat, that alters a lot, right? No small blind flat, we can get a bit more frisky, so to speak.
Geez, you must be the best. If we had a sit and go between the 6 best electricians in Australia, you'd have to be the best, wouldn't you?
How many good electricians play poker?
I've got one for you. You'd be surprised. Who is one of the best? But I reckon he'd be pretty keen on taking that one out.
Simon.
Better. Chappers.
Welcome, players. We do have an all-in call in our TLPT 25,000 international final table.
Yeah. He's an electrician.
Juan has King Queen. This is Vincent's pocket sixes.
Maybe you're the second best electrician in Australia.
I'm not an electrician.
I thought you were.
No, mate.
Carpenter? Are you flooring? I thought you were an electrician. That's my bad.
We don't need to go into my work history.
Vincent is all in here, called by King Queen.
Let's see how it goes. Holds through the flop.
Three
The jack goes. It's
diamonds,
It's got a
7
pretty
clubs.
boisterous rail here, so let's just tune into the table and let Ryan Ring take us home.
去！
Give him 10.
哎，急死！哎！
Picture, Vincent gets counted. 7 in jacks.
That's the worst way to bust me.
刚才你把什么喊出来了？
You'd rather just the king or the queen on the river, not the count of 15.
You didn't even make the peel.
Not the counterfeit.
There we go. That's poker. And we have lost another player.
What a rail there for Guangzhou.
不用高和圈，不用
As every player has just made $17,000.
急死就行，发死没事就急死。
But more importantly, that will get quite into pretty insurmountable chip lead here. Covers Yun. Has 5 now remain. As Gavin, 4 remain. My apologies, my bad. As Gavin says, this last 19 is good enough under the gun here
看你
for
替我喊的，
King
原谅
Jack
他了。
off. And Gavin's showing propensity to just run his equity this final table, Dean.
不是勾勾那把牌是发自内心的给包含，这把牌是为了自己。
这还为自己。
The best way to extract your equity, but you don't have to think a lot.
挺好。
Sometimes it's good when you feel like you're in positions where other players are pushing around a bit, you know, you're not exactly sure how to play it.
发这儿，只要发啥人都
You know it's
在这儿就
give it a go.
急死，主要就是急死。
4 remain. crunch out, looking to add to that 9.7 million USD tally on Hendon Mob. Third in the Chinese all-time money list. Braden Jinx and Dean Schneider bringing the last half an hour of action tonight. We'll be bagging up the end of this level, 40,000, 80,000, and we'll be back tomorrow. I mean, the way things are going, Dean, we could even finish this up in the next half an hour. Who knows?
We're a half chance, aren't we?
We are a chance.
Gary Lynn here, is he thinking the same? Do we just rip it?
I think so. It's going to be about 20 effective because...
I actually really like it.
Yeah.
Because ace-8 off, it's going to be really hard to play post. Right? And you're playing against the shorter stack, so put him in, put it to the pressure, make the decision.
Easy when we don't have to think, isn't it?
Yeah, look, the ace is going to be head so much. It's just going to be head so much, especially the ace-8.
The jumps are a little bit more hefty now. That was a small enough jump from 71,000 to 88,000, but we're starting to play with the big boys now, Dean. Of course, 350. Apologies. We've got 330,000 up top, but our next jump is going to be $42,000. So everyone remaining guaranteed 88,000. Third, our next jump is up to 120,000.
So you've been watching it for a bit longer than me, but it doesn't seem like the vibe is any sort of deal, eh?
I would bet very, very long odds that a deal would be occurring between these players. I don't think Mr. Zhao would be looking to deal at any point, probably in his life, let alone at a poker table.
No gamble, no future.
Of course, I believe could be a two-time Triton winner. I think he's definitely got one title. He's definitely got one title. I'm not sure if he's got two.
There's only one way to fill the trophy cabinet.
That's very true. Just keep firing.
Of 50 bigs. Don't mind the call. The call looks really good here from this small one with King 9. Because you're going to get the big player check back with a lot of dominated hands, a lot of worse King X, 9 X, and 10 hands. You raise and get called. You're going to isolate the range a little bit now. For hands that are maybe not always a hand. Or you're head against. Check. 102. You're going to slow both players down.
Check.
Can't find it in there.
Baby.
One's just going to check it out. Now that they're... So, Lin and Zo, they're both going to be sitting there trying to get that double up, and Kang and Wanzo are going to be putting the pressure on those stacks while trying to stay out of each other's way.
And the TD has decided he wants to finish this tournament early as the destroyer Taylor Pickles comes into the booth to take us home for the last 30 minutes of play. We'll be taking you all the way to the either culmination of the tournament or bagging up. More likely we can bag up, but who knows with Taylor dealing. He's finished many of a poker player's career.
It's been known to deal a few spicy hands,
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's actually, she's just known for it. The TDs, when they want to go home, it's like five-handed. They just bring, Taylor comes in and just, she's over. As Gavin here, contemplating something here with the King 8 offsuit. What a hand here for Xu.
Play this a bunch of different ways, but as Travis Ansby says, just don't fold.
Looks to come with raise. here. Gary should be about 20 effective from memory. A little bit over now, 21, and this is going all in, Dean.
100%.
This is going all in.
I mean, I don't see why this doesn't.
I think Gary just is going to opt for jam and will be snapped off by Guan Zhu.
7's too strong BBB, ace queen too good BBB.
That real perfect stack to get this in really easily.
22 bigs. Let's see 5 dealer. You're right, Taylor Pickles.
That's why you
help herself.
One-handers. Ask for a count. Bit of a slow roll here.
Yeah, I mean maybe he doesn't know how much. I mean, I'm still calling up to 30 bigs there, mate.
Even more, maybe blind versus blind four-handed in this point.
Yeah, but you don't want to cripple yourself too much when you're sitting in a nestled spot for top 2. There is ICM there, but ace queen too strong.
And Taylor sits down in the booth for one hand, living up to the destroyer game that she's got. This is a 3.7 million chip pot, and Gary Lynn is going to give himself a really good chance to win this tournament if he holds here. Ace queen versus 7.
Let's give it a listen.
Gary, is that risk?
Do it.
9 9 9 9
One has done.
机子，哇，8、9、10勾全配 A，
一副牌
，8、9勾全配 A，
，Come on！
Rivers at 7.
看嘛，
Gary
海号
does
人都
have
走了。
double up.
Gary, yeah, baby!
Too many out syndrome, Dean Schneider.
9勾全8、9
We
勾
love
全
this.
配
We love the rail. There's nothing like being deep in a tournament and having the rail behind you.
Unbelievable there as Gary Lynn actually improved to a full house there on the river.
2 million and 60.
And
2 million.
2 million? Yep.
我刚才不说180万吗？
Yeah, I'm actually,
1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 2 million and 60.
as I might have got the, I don't blame Xiao for,
Did he have a bit more?
Yeah.
3 million chips?
no, I think he's got 2.1 million, so our graphics will show Gary as having 3.7 million, but I feel like he's going to propel to well over 4 now. Interesting there, we might just get confirmation.
It's going to even out the stacks a bit there.
Again, much like Vincent before, how do we approach this now if we're, around that 20 big blind stack of Gavin Xu?
Well, the situation is there's a player that is
8以上的10你赢。
clearly loves the chip, right? So the 2 middle stacks are going to be sitting
2、
there
3、4、5、
like,
6、7。
well, we need to wait for the first and fourth class. And Yun still sitting there with that big stack again, and now opens up all of his opportunities to start taking a stranglehold on this table.
我应该40，他是60。 46开嘛，
然后转开一个勾啊，
还是46开，始终都是46开。这翻白键是。
开了。半副牌，操，就3边没顶满，妈的。
他俩奥子给他发出来了，我们1本发出来。
8、9、10勾圈你都赢。
8、9、10勾圈
185
8、9、10勾圈
185.
是10只有没有10。
6 fold.
除了10以外的所有牌都赢，小牌不行，7以下。你看多少个奥子？84个。
赢了这把，他妈的
稳稳第一。84个。93个。
Of course, 20 minutes to 1 here at the $25,000 buy-in TLPT Lord Poker Tour 25k high roller. We remain four-handed. Braden Jinx and Dean Schneider taking you through to the end of the night. Got about 20 minutes left of play, I think. 20-25 minutes left of play, and how Guan Zhu's rail as boisterous as it's been, it's poker not to be missed for the next 20 minutes. It's pretty exciting all in confrontations as always coming with call here, Dan.
Yeah, always. And just to touch base on what I was mentioning before, it really has evened up the stacks between the top three. So they're all going to be sitting there looking at the short stack going, you're out next. and that's the way you need to play, because every pay jump just means so much. And yeah, this is always a flat with threes. No need to do anything special. Just sitting there, getting the pickaxe out, just trying to mine that set. That's the way you want to play it, you know. I mean, you can get spicy if you're Michael Adamo, but it's tricky to do.
Very, as Yun does have that 3 of hearts working, but
like the C-bet. I mean, you don't love the 7-8, but the king's still far more favourable for Guangzhou. And Yun, not instantly folding.
these are cutting. Oh, I thought they were raising chips as Yun, a non-believer. 3's going to be the best hand here some of the time. Not all that often, but often enough for Yun to see a turn.
Good card for each range.
You find any leads here, Dean?
You do. I don't know if I'm picking 3s for it though. A better play might tell me otherwise.
Yun has leading vibes here.
Yeah, I like it just because you're going to want to lead so many hands that it's so much stronger for your range than the openers, right? Like, but the leading range is going to be so wide, so it's a good card to lead with, you know, 6-5, 9-10, 9-6, even hearts, a bunch of hands. And if Guangzhou has a propensity to c-bet a lot, especially on this sort of texture, can't hurt to just, you know, throw something out, quarter, third pot, try and win the pot now.
10 seconds.
Non-believer, as these are raising chips.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yun about to feel the wrath.
A raise wouldn't really make any sense here.
No, I mean, it definitely wouldn't. If we've got kings and 7s,
it's a flat.
We're just going to let Yun hang himself, but he's cut out about 800,000 in rifling chips there. It'd be interesting to see how Chinese's third all-time money earner proceeds here on the turn.
5, 4, 3.
That is a raise to around 650 or, yep, no, 650,000. And
you know what? I love the heart.
Love the heart.
He's looked at it and gone, I know that this is the card you want to lead. I just don't believe you, mate. Can you sniff it out?
Hey, we're really getting into the weeds here, aren't we, Dan? If he just decides to call and see a river.
This is one of those hands where rangers go out the door a bit and you look at the other bloke and you go, really?
Yeah.
Nah, wow, nice hand. And he
shows the deuce. He shows the deuce.
He's shown it every time. You know what?
Gets a smile from Gary Lynn.
It's just great for the game. It really is. It really is.
Shows the deuce, and Yun just realises that he's been had. We've got to really think about how we construct our ranges there.
40, 80, 80.
Not sure what a raise achieves other than with a hand that can't win at showdown.
But that's exactly one of those hands I was saying earlier where you know that they don't have it, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to call?
You're going to clench and go, all right, let's do it, and just put the 3-bet in? Or are you going to go, wait for the better spot, wait till I have the 8, wait till I have it, you know?
Gavin all in here, ace queen. Won't be looked up. Always a nice feeling in poker to get one through there and pitch the deuce across the table.
So what's a bit interesting here is now that Gavin has his stack and he's so much lower in chips compared to the other players, I would start now incorporating some ranges. letting players jam on your head is you are so far behind that you want to induce that like A7 off, that A4 suited, 3 those sorts of hands. You don't need to just jam and get it through. You're not trying to outlast another player.
Yeah.
You need to take that variance on. You need to double up.
Is that a little bit better, Josh? Is it a bit quiet there?
Guys, just English, please, while there's a hand.
There's a bit of love in the chat for Gavin's. I reckon this could be getting looked up here.
I don't think it's good.
Yeah, sorry, my apologies, I misspoke as Yun. It's going to be putting this one in. Just come with call here.
Yeah, I feel like it's only ever a call. And look, if worse comes to worse and the 2 players behind you re-jam, get out the way. And Gavin, his only play's been jammed. So you know it's not, you know.
Yeah, exactly right. Jack doing really well against this.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
And this is just an easy fold. Yeah. I know you look at it, you look at a pair of 8s there, Braden, but like ICM-wise, just get out the way. Let him go out.
Gary's showing it, knowing that Gavin has it all the time, but straight into the mud.
Gavin has
you got to wait in that page.
Not a spade. Ace of spades.
999，感冒了。
boisterous Ralph fans for
999。
Bluff. 3 of clubs. 10 of spades. King of spades.
Still just the
chance there as the 4-side diamond comes down, but it wasn't the 9 of diamonds, it was the 10 of diamonds, and we're going to lose Gavin Xu in 4th place for 88,000. And we are going to be 3-handed here.
Are you showing a bit of your baccarat side there, Braden?
I shouldn't know that.
A bit of the old peel?
Yeah, no, of course. If you are all in and at risk playing online on GG, you get to peel that river, and if that was on GG, that 4-side diamond would have got us really excited.
It's always nice to have a good sweat, mate.
Yeah, that was a very big sweat. And that's a GG's to Gavin Xu. Great run.
And we are down to 3. All the biscuits left to play for.
跟那个老外说什么？给他马换完，那多马。
Gary Lynn in the small blind here with Queen 5.
Appears to be a raise incoming.
No real short stack now, so a bit more maneuverability post flop. It's going to change the way the game's played. Elected to raise the Queen 5, I like it, having the high card blocker. It doesn't play that well as a limp, so raising it here it looks like the right play, but Yun Kang definitely has a hand that he's going to want to see a flop with. I'm more often than not just going to flat this hand. If you 3-bet and get 4-bet, you don't really want to fold out that equity, so it's a really good hand to just flat and play post-flop in position because it plays so well.
Yun Kang agrees, and we'll see a flop. What about a Queen High for a little bit of blood?
You're a bit of a sadist there, mate.
It's a board we're going to continue a lot on, Dean, we think?
Yes and no, because a lot of the hands that Yun is going to be pilling with are connected hands, whether they're suited or unsuited, so it's not the best flop to bet again with, you know, the 6-8s, 7-8s, 9-8s, 10 jacks, Queen 10s, all these sorts of hands which are all around that board. So I don't mind a check. I prefer c-betting on like a paired board, a high and too low type board. Board like that, we can just check and fold. It's going to be too hard to play.
Dean comes with 1/3. Sorry, I was looking at you and I said that. Yun Kang comes with 1/3, and Gary going to consider all of his decisions here.
Yeah, you can bet or check this flop. His hand's actually good enough, often enough to just check it, but I don't mind a bet just to apply pressure at the big stack.
Thoughts here? Gary must be calling with some devious intentions.
Don't love it. It's just going to be too hard to navigate turns and rivers.
Even if we are good, you know, some of the time where...
Like, say the other player is 6'8" or 5'6", right? How are you going to get to the river?
Yeah, of course. And
but we all play our hands our own way, so...
Look to check this if we're Yun.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, we did.
Yeah,
and
always,
the graphics have caught up. And I wonder, I mean, if we ever decide to call this flop bet, if we ever tried to start to turn our hand into a bluff, we can't really call and just give up. But that's 7, not enough for Gary to... Oh, no, I thought he checked. Sorry. Time bank coming as Gary finds it here for full pot, I believe. Just under full pot as Gary Lynn deciding to realise that this is probably one of the worst hands he's ever going to get to this spot with, nearly ever, and thinking that might just have to start constructing some bluffs. Queen 5-0, one of those. Not sure how many times this is going to get through Yun Kang's Queen 10. He looks suspicious, but what do we think, Dean? Lays that one down.
Wow.
Any thoughts there, Dino?
Well, I mean, he's pretty polarised by betting that river that way. I mean, he's just saying I have a 7 and sometimes a king, and Yun and a believer.
Thought you might have put that one in? Of course, sorry, I mean. Yeah, the river.
Yeah, look, the way he played his hand, his range is just so polarised. It's just so hand to have that specific hand in that spot. So, yeah, look, especially after checking back the turn, right, you've got to think about the way your hand is constructed. When you elect to check back the turn, you are showing weakness, and so therefore you're opening the door for them to bet. So when you check back the turn, your hand is too high up in your range to make the fold, in my opinion.
Interesting one there from you. Wouldn't mind getting Yun's thoughts there. Has been quite a... Yeah, go ahead, sorry, mate.
It's always easier seeing the cards, though.
Oh, you know how many times I've said that in the last week? And there is bias amongst your thought process when you are talking about the hand as well, simply because you could just see what they have, right? Trying to... You know, forget about that when I'm here in the booth with you guys. So we are very, very close to bagging up. Braden Jinx and Dean Schneider going to take you through the last 5 or 10 minutes of play. We're going to bag up here at about 1:30, so we aren't far away from the end of play. Dean, it's been great having you in here, mate.
Thanks very much, Braden. I appreciate it.
It's been really good of getting some insights into how you pulled off the $2,500 Centurion win at the APL Millions.
It was a dream, mate.
Oh, no, it was a great time. It was a great time, and for my own personal thing, I do recall when your photo was being taken, I was in the big blind of a 1K, and your photo meant too much to me, mate. So I missed my big blind. I ran over and got right into the back of the photo.
Mate, you sprinted from the other side of the hall just to get there for me, and I appreciated that, mate. I've got that photo sitting up on the mantle in my house, mate. So
that's awesome.
No, I really appreciate you doing that, mate.
It's awesome to hear. And
Yun Kang's opened the button here with the Queen 8. He's going to be open pretty wide. The Queen 8's definitely in that range. Gary Lynn, his hand definitely feels like a hand that he's going to want to flat. Very small percentage of the time you might elect a 3-bet, which is fine. But also, if you do 3-bet, you want to go pretty big because this hand play is terrible out of position in a large pot.
He's got the 3-bet look here.
There it is. I like the size. 750 is really nice. If you are going to 3-bet, you can't go small. You want to just use that blocker effect, put him into position and get the fold. Lovely hand, Gary Lynn.
I love how Yun sizes down his opponents at the end of the hand. Usually we'll just give them a look over knowing, no, you're full of it, but I don't really have what it takes to fight back. And relative hand strength has only got a couple hands left for you here tonight. Gary and Yun sharing some words as very likely, barring an absolute stone cold deck, we will be 3-handed tomorrow and try and get a time for you to tune back in to watch the culmination of this event. As we are confirming that the start of play tomorrow, if we do come back three-handed, will be 1:30. So if you are interested, and I know that you will be, our coverage will start at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and will bring the end of this event to you. Over $300,000 up top to the winner. As we've got some cheesing occurring here. Take us through this one, Dean.
Yeah, look, there's going to be a lot of lipping blind versus blind because you're sitting there with Jack 6 and you don't really want to raise. Big blind doesn't have to have a hand, so you play a few limped pots. You just take it to the streets and see what happens.
We've really evened out. Look at this, 31, 34, and 35% of the chips in play distributed evenly over the final three.
It's basically anyone's game, Braden.
It certainly is. Give me a, I know we're about to finish up, Dean, but give me a pick. Give me a pick from here.
I mean, I really like the way Yun has played, and I gave him my backing earlier on in the day.
That's
so,
true. That's true. I shouldn't have even asked.
I'd like to see him take it down, but you know, it's anyone's game, and you know, you can't fault anybody who gets to the final three in this tournament because it's been a field. There's been some of the best Australian players playing in this field. And so anybody who's got here has had to go through it. So it's really nice to see them battling it out for the top prize money.
Didn't have any devious intentions of flicking in 10% of the bankroll into this event yourself, Dino?
Look, I'm a bit older these days, mate.
Got a family at home.
Not going to be flicking the 25k lightly, mate. No.
Yun picks up kings here.
Maybe one day.
Do we ever see a flop here, you think?
So raised is 160. Yeah, I'm fighting this every day of the week. 6-5 suited is one of the best hands to peel in position versus a super polar range. Now, that's not to say Yun Kang's range is always polar, but this is one of those hands that you can call with and get some really nice boards that are unsuspecting, right?
Spot you'd maybe fold 8-9 suited and call 5-6 and 5-6 suited, do you think?
That's funny, I'd fold 9-10 suited, but I'd call 8-9 suited, just because the 10 is dominated more often by those Broadway hands that get 3-bet, like Ace-10 suited, King-10 suited, Queen-10 suited. So you want to have hands that don't interact with the 3-betters range as often, right? So 6-5 suited, 7-8 suited, great hands to call.
How do we proceed here if we're Yun in terms of our size?
No, your range is still the nut partier range, and the range advantage is still clearly in your favour. So you're just always going to see that. Sizing's interesting. He goes for a third, which I think is super standard. You can go a little bit bigger sometimes, so you can go a little bit smaller sometimes. Once again, in poker, it depends. So you've got to do a bit of all of it. Having the King of Spades makes it a bit more favourable that you might want to go a little bit smaller than you would otherwise. If it was the King of Diamonds and the King of Hearts, I'd size up a little bit bigger, closer to 40 to 50%, just because you don't like to see a spade on the turn. It's always a call from Gary Lynn. He's got a pair, can still have Ace King, Ace Queen, and he could have missed. All right, you got backdoor straight draws too. See, the spade on the turn now, this is why we like c-betting a little bit smaller and encouraging a call versus Gary Lynn, because when the spade turns, this becomes a check really often. Right? You can bet, and a lot of people do bet, but a check's also so fun, right? Because you're happy to check call, right? And just, you don't mind seeing a spade river, right? You got King of Hearts, King of Diamonds, and you check and they bet. You're like, hey, what's that spade on the river?
Dean Schneider nailing this turn action completely as Yun finds a check here with kings and the King of Spades. Gary Lynn weighing up all the options.
I mean,
I think, all right, now the Queen of Clubs, River, Dean, what are we thinking?
I feel like this hand's strong enough to bet the river. You're never going to go too big, right? Because there are hands that want to call, but you also want to have bluffs. So in this spot, you want to get called by some sort of like ace-jack hand that gets a bit sticky and thinks that you might have like ace-king or something, but you're never going to go that big. I'd personally size it around 600 to 700k. I could be told otherwise.
Yun Kang is running out of time banks. And he goes with the just under full pot size, 1.7 million.
As always in these spots, right? They've been playing with each other for a longer time, right? They might, in a vacuum, you can say one thing, but if you played against somebody and you think that they have a propensity to overcall in different spots, you can change the way you play, and that's what exploitative poker is.
I think we all know how sticky Gary Lynn is if we've been playing with him for the last 12 months. And as we can see here, Gary contemplating a call with just fourth pair.
And I feel like in the poker world, everyone always goes, you just have ace-king, right?
You can have ace-king, I guess. As I reckon that might see us through to the end of the day. I'm not sure. We might have a couple of more hands for you. As love the feedback in the chat from you guys. Liam Jihu, maybe I can get you into the booth if we want to increase our female viewership. I reckon Liam's the one to do it. If you want to come into the booth anytime from now until the end of the series, just come and knock on my door. We can sort something out, as we only got a couple of hands here left for you at the end of day's play. Loved your analysis there, Dean. Easy to see why you just shipped the biggest ever Centurion in Australian history.
And I love to see the commentary because I'm always open to learning more about different things. So if you've got a different opinion, put it in the chat. Let's talk about it. We'll learn more of each other. That's what poker's about. It's a very, very complicated game.
As sure what is as Quan Zhao comes with call. It's got Gary Lynn covered. Just to check now. Got a feeling, don't want to slow roll you guys, but this could be the last hand before the end of the day's play.
Can't be long left.
Can't be long left now. This has got to be the end of the level. We could have one or two more hands. And we've had an absolute ball. We might have a couple more for you. And if you are interested in seeing the end of this event, the victor taking well over $300,000, you can join the coverage here at APT Live on Facebook, Australian Poker Tour on Twitch and YouTube. Just remember the difference there. It is APT Live on Facebook, and Australian Poker Tour on Twitch and YouTube. And we've got, geez, the viewers really got up there tonight around 11:30. We were pumping, everyone here listening to the dulcet tones of myself and Dean, more particularly you, as we might have 1 minute left of play.
And while we still have you anyway, Braden, I'd like to thank you for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you just got
Mate, you've been fantastic. You took a little convincing.
And then you're bagging.
You took a little convincing, but I thought I'd...
Two more hands.
Two more hands. Okay, so we're going to have this hand.
Three cards.
And the last hand,
two.
the button will be on Gavin, on Gary Lynn. Gavin Xu has been eliminated. So this will be the second last hand. And I mean, what are the chances of some type of all-in confrontation here? It's going to be pretty low. Players are going to be looking to get through to the end of the day.
I'm sure there's a bit of exhaustion setting in, you know. It's been a long day. Probably don't want to get too involved, but sometimes that's when the spiciest hands turn up, you know. The chili gets put in the pot.
Not much here for Gary.
And sometimes things get a bit cheesy too, don't they?
Certainly do.
Well, we do have 3 8s here
We
from
do.
Yun Kang, but unfortunately, Carolyn, not much to sniff at.
Gary got some devious intentions here.
When the intrusive thoughts win. I don't think we'll have too much success with that one. Sly call.
打到hand sub 也行啊。
Second last hand of the night here. Our 25k Lord Poker Tour International event. Highest buy-in for the week. Gary comes with the giver. Yun sizing up. We're trying to target here. It's got to be small size. Dean, what are we thinking?
Look, it's really tough just because his range is so air heavy, right, in this situation. So I actually like really small just because you basically give them the chance to hang themselves.
Yeah, I was in agreement with you there, but great Yun Kang. High stakes cash game player for a long time. Chooses just under half pot. And we do have one hand remaining here as Gary Lynn contemplating if Jack High is ever good. It is some of the time. Oh, I just saw the look at his face. I thought maybe this is just a contemplation, but...
Yeah, but 2 hands left in the...
He does call Jack High.
Wow. Wow, nice read there.
Yeah, it looked like that's what Gary was thinking. Didn't even use a time bank, and
I guess he puts him on the 3-4s, the 4-5s, the those sorts of hands that miss, or just worse diamonds or something.
As under half pots, under full pot size will get paid there from Yun. Gary Lynn, the non-believer, as this is the last hand of the night. And if you are interested in seeing the culmination of this event, you can join myself and Harvey Silver in the booth tomorrow from 2 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. But we don't go anywhere, we've got one hand left.
But personally, I'd just like to shout out to everybody who has hung around to this final hand of the night. It's been a pleasure, and thanks, Braden, for having me on.
Mate, you've been incredible. Your insight is amazing, and loved having you in here. Any more spare time throughout the week, we'd love to get you back in. You've been incredible. The viewers have loved it. Lots of love for you out there in the chatters. We aren't over yet.
All right, cheers, mate. Maybe until next time.
Thank you, Dino.
Bye, mate. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Congrats to Dino. Thank you, mate. Well done. Of course, APL Centurion winner for $200,000 just a month ago, as Yun's coming here with $280,000. And that will be the end of the day's play.
Yep. Can you do Yun's?
And Yun
Kang do Gary's.
winning that pot's going to come into tomorrow with 50. Oh, I thought it was half the chips in play, but just under half of the chips in play. He's in prime position to take down the $330,000 up top in this event. Join us, me and Harvey Silver, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for sticking around. We'll see you tomorrow for the end of the Tlpt 25K International. See you then.